Calling All Heroes is back, and we have thousands of heroes that are answering the call. I am Tala, joined by Door, and we are so excited to bring you the day one of Swiss stages of the Radiant Hero Major 3, and it is the last major where you can earn these for the Challenger.
That's right. We're playing in pretty much as important a game as ever, as it's the last chance for a lot of these teams to really get in before the championship. If we take a look at our calendar, this has been a long and arduous year, but it has led us up to UC right there in December. We're in Major 3, the last shot for these teams to get points and qualify before the championship. Or maybe they could try and get in before that LCQ, but let's be real, Tala, that is going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, and we have a lot of history between these teams. Thus far, 6 teams are going to qualify off circuit points, and the last of them are going to be decided today. And you want to talk a little bit about what we've seen so far and how those points stack up.
Yeah, so the points are really tricky because the points are tracked by player, and the players all mix around, and you only count your 2 best majors and your 2 best minors. So some players are coming in having played more majors than others. Some players can gain more points than this from this particular tournament than others. It's a little bit of a mess, but I last night I consulted the ancient texts, the ancient tomes of calling all heroes, and I went ahead and did the math. If you really want to look into it, check my Twitter. I've got a whole spreadsheet there of this, but as it stands, these are the current point standings between these teams. Timeless Ethereal standing tall above the rest with 10,600, having won the last 3 calling all heroes events, and the distance seems to only be widening with them and the rest of the competition.
And I mean, we have basically 5 teams that are almost guaranteed a spot unless some kind of miracle is pulled off between the places of 6 to 11th. There's still that chance of players who aren't, or teams that are not on this graphic in the top 8 just yet. And remember, it's only the top 6. So as it stands, if this major didn't exist, NYXL Embers, they would be in, they would be qualified, but we never know. And like you said, the top 2 major, the most points gained from the 2 of them, some people stand to gain more points. So it is definitely very, very complicated here, and a lot is on the line.
Yeah, so with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at our format and what these teams are fighting for as well, because there's a lot more on the line than just circuit points, and if you want to get to those prize pools, you've got to get through this gauntlet. Day 1 and 2 of Swiss play, 6 rounds are going on. It is 6 games at first to 2 that you got to get through, and I'll be real, those first 2, they go so quick, Tala. You have got to be on your toes when you're playing games as fast as this.
Yeah, and we also have that map order. We are going to be starting off with the control map, as always, going to hybrid and then flashpoint. So seeing a bit of that flashpoint and competitive as well. Map pool, it's going to be Arctic Peninsula, Busan, and Samoa for control. Hybrid, Kings Row, and Midtown. And flashpoint, we're looking at New Junk City and Surabasa.
I do like this map pool, though. It's a little trim. It's a little slim compared to sometimes you'll normally see like 3 or 4 in each of these. But with the number of matches that these teams have to play, with the amount of prep they need to do for now 5 different map types, I like it a lot. It gives them a very focused idea. And there's still plenty of diversity here in terms of comps that you can try to force on these different maps. There's kind of something for everybody in every map type. So this feels really, really good to me. But again, with all that said and done, that's how they get there. Let's take a look at what they're actually playing for this prizing. It's good stuff. It's good stuff this time. First place, 5K. Second place, walking away with half that. Third and fourth, still walking away with their pockets full. Down beneath that, though, it is just circuit points. But for some of these teams, that means life or death.
Yeah, and we also have a bit of a richer prize pool as well because of that partnership with Be Quiet, don't we, Dor?
Yeah, huge shout out Be Quiet. They are giving away 2 first place 6 PC cases and 6 power supplies. Second and third and fourth are not going away empty handed, though. Some really sick stuff. So just some extra incentive to perform well in this final major.
It's definitely going to be a very exciting one. So now we are looking at the 2 teams that we're seeing in the first round of the Swiss stages, and it's going to be Fable, a team that we saw on that top 8 graphic, I think currently in the 5th place spot, versus Meow for Pocket.
Yeah, Meow for Pocket, I think, are here to show a good time. And honestly, I think they can put up a pretty solid fight looking at that roster. But for Fable, there's a lot on the line. Them and Wisp are kind of the only 2 teams that are even remotely reachable in terms of points by some of those, like you were talking about, 7th through 11th teams. So getting through Swiss stage clean, I think, is very much the way that Fable would like to do this, because that kind of guarantees them their spot by doing so.
Yeah, and looking at some of the viewer incentives as well, we will be giving away some 10,000 free Chipotle burritos along the course of the event. So look out for that and those shouts in the chat.
I feel like an Overwatch Oprah. I'm tossing burritos. Check under your chairs. There's contender skins while you're at it. There's discounts for stuff. Oh man, it feels good. But of course, you can't get those contender skins, specifically Farah and Moira, for watching. So all the more incentive to keep it open in a separate tab. Watch, get involved. We got Rising going on at the same time. On top of that, of course, the big, the bad, the main series is going on. But the Rising series is also, we've got a competition here for all the same people. It's slightly lower in terms of the SR range that we're looking for in terms of how those teams are competing. And they've got kind of the same format.
Yeah, so, we are just looking at you get a skin, maybe you get a burrito, and also on top of that, we've got a lot of tourney days for you. So looking at this, day 1 and 2 this weekend, it's just a round robin, the Swiss stages, until we get into the playoffs bracket next week, which is first 2.
Yeah, really important stuff. Winner take all prizing for that one. Less points, less math to be worried about. So we keep things simple for the Rising end of things. But like you were talking about, we got a match to get to now. Meow for Pocket versus Fable. Things are starting off on Antarctic Peninsula, which means I think a lot of sick action with the composition that's been kind of brewing in the background as of late. If you watch World Cup, you got a little snippet of what's going on in terms of the meta.
Now we're moving kind of into this Sigma Brawl meta, and it is going to be definitely really interesting. Bastion has had, his moment in the sun, had a lot of that play. Honestly, I think my cat has heard Meow for Pocket is playing, and now it's very overexcited about the fact that we are about to see some cats on screen. Here's me meowing, and it's all of a sudden just pawing. But Fable, like we said, very experienced already in the top 5, practically guaranteed a qualification from how it stands, unless we have some sort of upset, some really big miracle being pulled off by the lower parts of this team. Meow for Pocket, mostly more of a content creation team here.
I mean, they have content creators on their team, but I'm not sure that necessarily means they're here to create content outside of trying to set up an upset here. It'd be really impressive, but it's tough into Fable, right? Because you're talking about the meta. You talked about Sigma coming in. You talked about Bastion kind of rotating out, which is funny because, Bastion's rotated out for everybody, except for when you're playing against Winston. Then you just go back and insta-lock it and win the game. So he's just keeping Winston in jail for the most part, but that Bastion's been, for the most part, swapped out to a Sojourn. And when you talk about Sojourn with these two rosters, there's one player I'm really, really scared of, and that is Aria on Fable. Dear God, do people fear Aria's Sojourn?
Aria, definitely a player to watch out for, and we're looking at Avery as well on the Sigma. And speaking with a few casters, shout out to CB. Avery is a very strong Sigma player, and this meta does kind of favor playing right into their hands of their picks. So Fable's roster, Snozlar joining over from NYXL, previously NYXL Academy, and they also picked up Karopi as well, also previously NYXL Academy. So they definitely have a lot of heavy hitters being added to this roster.
And not just in the player section, but you check up their coach, Tensa, well-proven coach along contenders, calling all heroes and the like. You talked about Snozlar joining the team. We had a saying in contenders, don't mess with the schnoz, and it is absolutely going to run true today. This roster is lined to the brim with experience and strong players. But over on the other side, we should not be snuffing our noses at them. Meow for Pocket, despite the fun name, is here to take names.
Going to see how they play into this meta as well. Don't know too much about them in terms of scrims and competitive experience, but definitely nothing to turn your nose up against. And let's see what they can set up here with the team called Meow for Pocket against Fable, some team that has proven themselves quite a bit thus far and have added a lot of firepower.
Yeah, I think the big thing to watch here is specifically just being able to go even in that hit scan matchup. Kylie has her work cut out for her. Nemo, same thing in the tank line. Being able to match Avery is going to be a bit of a tricky one. And then Haley and Emilianth, I think I'm really interested in this backline, right? Two people who are super involved in the community. Haley doing the social media stuff, Emilianth also streaming constantly. I think she's actually live right now. Go sport, go do all the good things. Especially if you want some good Baptiste POV. But I want to know, looking at this roster, looking at the heroes they've selected, they kind of give us a little hint towards what they like to play, towards what they want to play. And this doesn't necessarily scream confidence, staring at like a Sigma Brawl mirror with the heroes that they've teased with us.
Especially when you are playing like Pharah, they're kind of teasing like a Pharah Mercy kind of composition, which I think is very unlikely is actually going to get played, especially since you have Sojourn on that other side. You have the railgun and that one-shot potential with the right click. It is just going to be a really tough matchup in general to be playing against such consistent DPS when you are playing that flyer comp.
Yeah, and considering that we're starting things off on Antarctic Peninsula, which wasn't chosen by either team, randomly chosen at the beginning of the tournament, so we do get that going. It is completely unbiased. This, I think, bodes very well for Fable. If you're talking about maps where that particular Sigma composition looks really, really good, all three of Antarctic Peninsula play fantastically. Labs to Icebreaker to the third one. It is going to be a bit of a tough job getting past that Sigma shield and stopping the Sojourn from taking those really powerful off angles.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm definitely excited to see what comps we're going to see on the side of Meow for Pocket. Like what we were teased, I'm unsure if that's going to come out, but if it does, it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup and not going to be quite playing in the meta. And I'm also wondering if we're going to see that Doomfist come out. We saw a little bit of it back in the World Cup as well. A lot of that Doomfist being played in the finals. And I'm curious if that might come into play because Doomfist does typically play very well into the Sigma.
Yeah, and he plays pretty well on this map. So if they want to dive, I think that's the way that they want to do it, is with the Doomfist. Just with, again, the existence of Bastion and Sojourn being decent enough into Winston. Winston just struggles against the particular meta composition right now, but should the opportunity arise, I don't think Meow for Pocket are going to deny that chance anytime soon. But as we pop in, let us know real quick in chat who you guys think this one is going to be taken by. Can Meow for Pocket take maps off of Fable, put some cracks in the armor, or will it be a swift victory for a team that wants to set themselves up for a championship run?
Yeah, Fable definitely wants to put themselves in that position, just locking themselves in. Very important matchup for them, a lot more on the line than Meow for Pocket, currently in the 16th place standing in terms of circuit points. It's definitely going to take a huge miracle for them to be able to get into those top standings, qualify for all those circuit points, and be able to get into the qualification spots.
Yeah, I mean, qualification spots, no, but I don't think 16th kind of tells us, again, with the way the points work, the story of like how close these teams are. I think the Offer Pocket is certainly closer to Fable than 16th would have you believe, given that some of the players on this team just don't necessarily have circuit points from maybe not competing or missing tournaments or having performed poorly in them in the past. So they certainly got a shot here on Antarctic Peninsula, but it really does come down to where we start. I think that sets the tone for this, because this map that we're staring at right now, Labs, I think does bode pretty well. Same goes here. Underground, things get a little bit trickier for the Sigma composition as Dive opens itself up more. But should we start things off on Icebreaker, the map with the big boat, the big yellow ship? I think the Dive composition is kind of out of the question in terms of at least starting the series off. And, you know, you always want to start off on the right foot. So for Meow for Pocket, they're kind of praying to not start in that one particular place.
Looking at these compositions as well, we're really moving away from that Winston Tracer Sombra and the Sombra rework as well.
Oh, just you wait till next patch.
Just wait until... Oh no, Winston coming back.
That Tracer buff is terrifying. 5.5 to 6. Oh my god. It's daunting. The only thing keeping that away is like Bastion keeping Winston off, but who knows? They'll probably just shove another dive tank in with it and call it a composition. But for now, we don't have to deal with it. For now, all we have to figure out is what we're playing on this map, which we've been teasing for quite a while. The fly-throughs are pretty, but it's time to get into the game. Fable versus Meow for Pocket, opening up, calling all heroes Major 3. Pogs in chat, and I want your eyes glued to the screen as we start our rollout.
Don't even blink, because blink and you might miss it. These games go by incredibly fast, especially with the pacing that we're seeing in the meta thus far. So, starting off on, is this Icebreaker, the big yellow ship? I don't know if that counts.
We're good. We're not in a boat, we're underground, and this is where things feel very good for Meow for Pocket. There is a pretty significant potential to dive here. Even when teams were playing things like Ramatra Rush, the Winston was fairly notable, but it looks like they want to throw a mirror into the mix. That Far Mercy that you teased earlier, though, is certainly still alive. Crystal Rain, as it popped up with Haley swapping off to the Lucio, Rain swapping in what looks like a Mei pick. It's like we're going full mirror here. And I love this from Fable, actually. If we look at the other side of our screen, we see Lime locking in a Bastion. That might stay. They're debating whether or not they want to run it because they know Nemo's on the other side, and there is a potential for a Winston out of Meow for Pocket. So if that Lime swaps over to Bastion, it would be interesting, but it wouldn't be effective necessarily to what Meow for Pocket are running. They've got one of their own.
Okay, well, sticking with the Symmetra, this is certainly good when you're going up against that Sigma on the other side, getting early control of that high ground Lime with the Symmetra, taking down Crystal Rain, and now without the Immortality Field cooldown as well, Fable are in a pretty good spot. Meow for Pocket a bit more dangerous here, and they're only able to get rid of that Immortality Field on the other side as they battle for that control as point unlocks.
I gotta say, bit of a rock, paper, scissors win here for Fable in terms of the DPS. When you talk about Sojourn, when you talk about the Symmetra and the Bastion, rolling out on the Bastion kind of only wins if the other team is trying to run that dive into you. Meanwhile, Fable aren't necessarily trying to do that. The pick does bode well.
That is a really nice pick for Meow for Pocket's side. They're feeding a lot of that shield into Sigma, though, as the Bastion from up top still contesting over on the point, and Aria is able to find Avery now without the tank in the fight. They have to kind of wrap around the Symmetra's trying to stay alive. Lime is getting the heals in from the back line. Nicely done to take down Nemo.
200 HP has never looked so tanky. That was the biggest pocket I've ever seen. Z-Panther charged up an entire amplification matrix on Lime's health bar alone, just holding right-click and praying on that Symmetra. How did Fable get through that? I was getting ready to congratulate Meow for Pocket on cleaning up a fight nicely after only getting one pick. But alas, here we are, another playing into a deficit of ultimates, a significant one at that. If Fable play aggressively here, there is very little Meow for Pocket can do to counter it.
Yeah, Meow for Pocket might be called Meow for Pocket, but Lime was definitely meowing with the way that they were getting healed. Amp Matrix now out from Fable over on the high ground while the Blizzard comes through on Aria's side. Two ultimates already used from Fable while the Amp Matrix comes out a little bit later from Emiliath. Avery, however, finding Crystal Rain. Nemo quick to follow. Quick fight from Fable to clean things up.
And a pretty cheap one at that. Two ultimates to win a fight. Meanwhile, the other team still managed to use the Amplification Matrix. It's a trade you're happy with, and the execution looks fantastic as well. Teleporting Aria into the backline to get that cleaner Blizzard off is something that we're really looking for nowadays, and Fable absolutely nailed it. Now, though, is Meow for Pocket's opportunity. They've got ultimates, but they don't want to spend all of them, and they need to flip the point here.
Trying so hard to flip. Now they do have that Blizzard in play. They have both of the sound barriers. It goes down in the Blizzard as well onto that high ground. Lime, however, still finding value. Haley taking down Z-Panther. Have to rely on Finopi to try and keep the team up, but that sound barrier is still in question. They're still dancing around that point. Now the Flux coming through and the sound barrier to take all of that overhealth onto the team. Aria comes in clutch just in time. It doesn't look like Meow for Pocket is going to make it, and they all go down like dominoes.
Yeah, Fable dealt with that really nicely. Meow for Pocket, I like the order that they use the ultimates. I like that they soaked up that Gravitic Flux with the sound barrier to start things off, but they couldn't follow up on their own Blizzard properly. Fable did a great job of pulling their Baptiste away, making them a really difficult target to target down with the Immortality Field, and then simultaneously kind of diving the opposing side, keeping players away from that Blizzard, zoning off the DPS from being able to follow up on it properly, which, yes, made for a messy fight, but a messy fight is better than a fight where your entire team just gets frozen up. So Fable more than happy with that, and then we're able to maintain their space and use it to win the fight following. Now, though, we head on over to Icebreaker, where that Pharah can actually come out, and I'm actually starting to think that Meow for Pocket are going to be pretty happy about this, given the availability of the Pharah, and they're seeming in content with the Sigma composition.
Yeah, I mean, actually, Lime sticking onto the Symmetra here, giving them a lot of free reign to play that far out because they don't have that hit scan DPS. You only have that Mei that can kind of spam the right clicks up at the sky, but otherwise, it's basically uncontested. So now they have the Mercy in play as well, going up over the top. Farah's trying to find some damage, but it's Emiliath first of all.
Yeah, this Pharah, though, is going to have so much zone control. Even though, yes, you lose that Baptiste, this is far from over. Like you said, there's basically nothing to deal with it on the other side. We've seen players in contenders, Turkey, Yazan, and the like, absolutely tear through backlines with this. And you see the pressure alone is forcing the supports to both have to look at this Pharah, which means that Lime isn't getting healed, which means that Avery isn't getting healed. You're losing on both fronts of this fight if you're Fable, and they're forced away by the sheer mass of rockets being thrown out.
That was really nice from Crystal Rain, and they're going to flip that point very, very quickly. Crystal Rain very close to the rocket barrage already, just from the damage boost from the Mercy, and Haley is really quick to follow up onto that Valkyrie as well.
Not gonna be as easy though. Now you've got the Tracer Sojourn on the other side. A lot more hit scan availability for Fable. Still nothing that directly takes this far out though. Let's be real. It's not an Ashe. It's not a Widow. It's not a Hanzo. Something with burst damage that can instantly take it down. In order to take one shot at this Pharah, you have to charge up an entire railgun with the Sojourn. So those shots are kind of few and far between. This doesn't necessarily solve the problem of Crystal Rain to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's also, you could potentially take out the Cassidy, potentially take out the Ashe here, but it's not as much mobility with those two. And now the Rocket Barrage comes through. Immediately, Crystal Rain goes down. The Resurrection couldn't come out with the Valkyrie from Haley. Now the Amp Matrix on Z Panther's side, trying to force them through. They're able to take down Nemo from Aria, though, and Fable should be able to flip that point over off the back of it.
Yeah, a little bit of an optimistic barrage from Crystal Rain. I do like a good ground barrage, and I think with the assistance of the Sigma Shield, it might have looked a little bit better than it did. But nevertheless, a failure in execution is not a failure of the idea in total. The After Pocket still have plenty left to go as well. And they didn't really spend too many ultimates in that previous fight, but neither did Fable. And the big thing that Fable have going for them, because they're running that Lucio instead of the Mercy, is a significantly more powerful ultimate in their back pocket in that sound barrier. They will have a counter to the Flux. Meow for Pocket will not.
Flux should come through now from Avery just to hold them off. Lots of damage going on to Kylie, but they're able to stay alive. Nopi now using that sound barrier to try and hold on to the point, but it's flipped over by Meow for Pocket. Now Crystal Rain seeing if they can get some free reign over the skies. Nemo falling from Meow for Pocket, though. Avery on a tear with this Sigma. Now Aria is the only one to fall from Fable, and the rest of the team for Meow for Pocket being chased down by Avery. Okay, keep going. Yup, just stagger them out.
Yeah, again, considering the situation that they were in, Meow for Pocket didn't play it badly. They almost got away from the Flux unscathed, but Nemo's health bar never really recovered from that 50% damage that it took. And now, still a similar position to last fight, having to attack in with this Pharah, a lot more difficult than defending. Using those high walls around the point for cover is not nearly as easy when you need to move past them at some point in order to gain that space. So you see now, Crystal Rain moves forward into no man's land, and subsequently Fable start hunting her down.
Blizzard immediately coming through from line, trying to freeze out Nemo. We see Crystal Rain, however, taking down Z Panther while Haley falls. It's a support for a support. The Amp Matrix comes out right before Z Panther went down, though, and it's allowing the rest of Fable to just get their picks on through. Emilia falling, and there is no way that they're going to be able to touch this point.
Really well done by Fable. I mean, the space control, I think, was the big thing for me. Understanding where those power positions are on the map. In both of the maps that we played, showed their ability to focus on 2, 3 things at once at times, especially playing into Crystal Rain's Pharah, which did do a lot, especially at the start of the map. They showed an ability to not get too distracted. They can throw 1 or 2 players at this duel and meanwhile stuff up the entire rest of the comp of Meow for Pocket in a choke point, stopping them from getting into any real supportive position for that Pharah.
Yeah, this was really nicely done. Good adjustments at the start of Icebreaker. When we saw Crystal Rain first come out with the Pharah and the Mercy Pocket, it was so nicely done to try and get early control. And they were able to flip the point quite a few more times when they were able to play that Pharah, but the adjustments coming out with the hit scan, with the Sojourn, Tracer for a second, but eventually going back to the Mei, just really, really strong ground control.
Yeah, and I do wonder what would have happened had they not lost that fight where the ground barrage was went for. Because honestly, again, the Sojourn is solid into the Pharah. You get one shot every once in a while, but on that map in particular, building Railgun is kind of no small feat because you're shooting a Sigma shield or there's just a bunch of walls in your way stopping you from actually being able to charge it. So had they not won that fight, I do worry a little bit about what Fable would have actually had in terms of things that could deal with that Pharah, which very realistically could be a thing as we head over to our next map type. I believe it's Hybrid. Kings Row and Midtown are on the table in terms of picks from Meow for Pocket. What are you thinking they want to lean towards?
On to that next map, Kings Row versus Midtown. Well, I mean, Kings Row does lend well into those longer range poke compositions, and like you said, Aria really good on the Sojourn, and Fable winning that last map. I feel like Meow for Pocket might actually want to lean a bit more towards Midtown, where you can play closer brawl compositions. That Pharah might be a little bit more viable as well. You can play it on Kings Row, but I feel like on Kings Row, you're really kind of looking at those poke compositions a little bit more, especially on that first point capture.
Yeah, the opportunities I think here are kind of similar for both maps. The difference that you see, especially in like the playability of Pharah, isn't much between the two of them. There's like a little room on each map if you wanted to try it, but I'm not sure it's something they want to really stick to. They showed us that they're willing to play the Bastion. I'm sure they've got a Symmetra, a Sojourn available to them if they want to swap over to that. And I think that's more the route where we're going to end up going with these two maps being in the pool. Regardless of which one gets picked, I think it's going to be a bit of a change of strategy for Meow for Pocket. They've got the Pharah. They could lean into it if they really wanted to. They did see some success, but by and large, I think they're going to try and find this mirror because they did find some success with it on the first map. And I do think that they have what it takes in terms of fight planning ability and execution to actually get it done. It's just been that Fable are that one step ahead each time.
Yeah, the pacing has been a little bit good, and I'm wondering if they're able to like snowball these maps forward as well. I feel like on Midtown, it's really easy to lose that first point defense, and all of a sudden you have that cart almost under the bridge and almost to that second point. So let's see what's going to come out from them. It's going to be Kings Row, so we're looking at that map pick for Meow for Pocket.
Of course, it's going to be Kings Row. I like Midtown's pretty and all, but it's Kings Row. You pick it when you see it. There was no question ever about what map was being picked here. And again, it plays well for the Sigma composition. I think this map pool in general just plays kind of into the meta comp particularly well. So the switches that you can make aren't particularly significant. There's a chance we see the kind of spaghetti thrown at the wall to see what sticks, and we just see a dive composition. Again, this comes less to the map type, less to the match, and more to the actual format right now. Because best of threes, we were talking about at the beginning of the broadcast, they go so fast. And I have seen teams that should make it far in tournaments get wiped off the face of the planet in a matter of like 2 Swiss rounds of best of 3. Because if you don't make the adjustments quickly and drastically at the right times, the series can go awry really fast. And so there's an opportunity for Meow for Pocket to recognize, hey, look, we don't think even with minor adjustments, small switches in the DPS role, this Sigma thing is going to work out for us. We're out of lives. It's a best of 3. You get one more chance at this. They could just break out full dive in a situation like this because their backs are against the wall so early on. And I appreciate it when a team is willing to do that because, again, it shows an understanding of this best of 3 format that it is very different in terms of the adjustments you make to a best of 5.
One thing about Kings Row is that it is a hybrid map, so we do have the possibility here of having a tie. It technically is first to 2, quote unquote, and a hybrid map, it's very unlikely. You don't see it very often, but there's the possibility of having a draw.
If we get a draw today, Tala, I will come on one of the other days that I'm not even supposed to be on and spend 10 minutes eating a Chipotle burrito on broadcast, okay? I will just sit there and eat a burrito in the back of the broadcast. I
promise?
If we see one draw today.
Pinky swear.
It's been so... I pinky swear. It's been so unprevalent in Overwatch. It took them, what, like 3 months or something to get one in the Overwatch League? It took contenders. Oh my god, it took contenders like 9 years to get a map draw.
But imagine.
If we get one today, it would be a miracle. But you know what? That's what Calling All Heroes is all about. So Kings Row will be the site of our... maybe final showdown here for Meow for Pocket, unless they can pull off something drastic. The more I think about it, the more I just wanted to go dive. I want to say screw it. I want to say just...
But I feel like it's not the Winston dive, though. It's the Doomfist dive that you have to watch out for, because Doomfist may be a little bit less survivable than Winston, but if you have that solid backline, then you should be able to keep that Doomfist up and playing really well into the Sigma as well, which we know is Avery's pocket pick. We know Avery is very comfortable on the Sigma, and Fable seems to be really comfortable just going around and playing around that Sigma composition with the Sojourn. Aria is so comfortable with, and this backline from Fable also very, very strong and very survivable on the Lucio and Baptiste.
I have to check the stats, but I'm not sure if Finopi and Z-Panther have died, like, at all. It's maybe 1 or 2 across the entire series so far. They've been virtually untouchable.
At all.
What's up?
That's a bit of a problem for him. But as we were talking about, there is the opportunity for that Pharah. Crystal Rain's using it. Haley could use this Life Weaver instead of the Mercy to pocket the Pharah. They're using it to get the Sigma up to the high ground. Oh, cute little shield for the Widowmaker. I'm here for it.
Yeah, we're just we're gonna take that Widow up. Well, they knew what was coming. They're not going to risk that, and it's just the Hanzo again. I mean, back to the Mercy, we saw the Life Weaver just for a second to get up to that high ground, but otherwise, it seems like pushing past this choke point, though, very, very aggressive from the Alpha Pocket.
I mean, that's the name of the game, right? Get the Pharah up to Hotel, and then once Pharah has the Hotel, she can use it for cover. So you'll see now the statue, the Hotel, both kind of serve as vertical covers for her to move left and right around. They need to find a way to get on top of this Sojourn, though, and that's the big problem they need to solve in these upcoming moments. But Kylie doesn't make it any better.
Oh my god, wait, Haley was just resurrecting inside of that Sojourn's, just the Sojourn damage and dives to it instead of getting that resurrection off. Fable getting a lot more space now to be able to bully Meowth Pocket back into their spawn.
Yeah, the big thing isn't necessarily just the fight win, it's not just the time, it's the ultimate advantage they've garnered in the meantime. You see about 20 to 30% on average ahead of Meowth Pocket, save for that Pharah that's building up a barrage relatively quickly.
Now looking at okay, that was a really nice shot. And now Aria going down. They have to find some way to get the damage out. Deal with this Pharah up above, but Meowth Pocket, they have Kylie on this high ground, spamming shots in way, and now contesting over the rocket barrage coming through. Crystal Rain doesn't really get much done with that, and it seems like Fable should be able to pull up.
Yeah, Aria's gonna come back and spawn. Aria had what I like to call losing the Hanzo lottery there. You just happen to be like crossing a sight line. The Hanzo doesn't care who's down there. They're just lobbing arrows, hoping to hit something. And Aria, unfortunately, caught it with their mouth, which happens from time to time. Meowth Pocket, though, now have a big opportunity to step in. They've got a lot of ultimates, but they need to kind of string them along. Pull out that sound barrier early from Finopi.
Finopi still building up to it. While the Valkyrie already available, but a little bit less powerful of an ultimate, really valuable for that damage. Crystal Rain, though, taking down Aria again. Once again, the DPS line, now the first falling, goes for the Gravitic Flux. There is no way to sustain Fable through this. Finopi needs to come in somehow with the sound barrier, but it's going to be the Amp Matrix. It's just going to shred through that health. Avery still able to take down Kylie as they weave in and out through this barrier. The regroup from Fable's support line is just so strong. Haley has to find a way to keep the health up. Emily is going down, and there is not a lot of strong healing to come through from that Mercy. Aria spamming down Nemo now, and Meowth Pocket once again falling short of this take.
Again, some really impressive stuff from Avery, just like disengaging the Blizzard all the way back on Antarctic Peninsula. When the Flux came out, when the aggressive play came in for Meowth Pocket, Avery comes in, counter Flux, holds that space forward, and then regroups with the supports to push through Hotel and find the back line. Really amazing stuff, but now they've got to deal with the rest of the ultimates, the barrage, namely of which picks off 2. There's a chance to get back in with this overclock, though.
Disruptor shot trying to zone off, now getting rid of the immortality field, already forcing the cooldown. They haven't quite gotten rid of Nemo just yet, and Aria's low on the high ground, getting a lot of time though with the railgun. However, Kylie is going to make sure to clear out that choke point. They should be able to get at least 1 tick here, but there's a possibility of the re-engage, especially since you still have Finopi with the sound barrier in the back pocket. Blizzard comes through immediately, and now so does the sound barrier. Nemo, no place to run, no place to hide, and we have already a tank down from Meowth Pocket. Now the rest of them should fall apart like dominoes. Haley falling right after Crystal Rain, and now it's the high ground contention, which Lime is going to have no problem getting up to. They have to try and keep the overtime alive. There's a touch there, but the team entirely falling. There is no possibility. It is 0 ticks for Meowth Pocket, and Fable have set them up quite a win condition.
Yeah, and you see just the difference in terms of compositions that comes out there at the end, right? It's not just a difference of, oh, we're running something different. It's, look, the Pharah Mercy comes at a cost, and that cost is expensive. Sound Barrier is one of the best ultimates in the game, and Meowth Pocket kind of being down a super powerful ultimate in terms of the ultimate economy all the time has hurt them a number of times already in the factor of 2 maps. And there at the end, you see it, that Sound Barrier Blizzard engage is just brutal. There's no way you get away from it. Now Meow for Pocket have got to try and defend a 52.7% take. It's a Hail Mary for sure for the team in orange.
It's a tough one for Meow for Pocket for sure. While Fable, they are sitting so comfortably and map up. All they need to do is get those 2 ticks on the board, and then they win this one over. I said there was a possibility of a draw, but I don't think that possibility is there anymore. Fable want to win this one out clean.
So I'm trying to ask everybody this.
It's taken no prisoners for Fable, which honestly makes a whole lot of sense in terms of what this means for them, this Swiss stage. Like I was talking about, if they just get to the bracket, if they just get a little bit of the way through it, they secure their spot in the championship. They're looking to end things quickly. Moving out on the Sojourn May. Nothing new for this team, but whether or not they're able to deal with this Hanzo Pharah, the immense amount of poke damage coming at them, will be the question. They have 2 options. 1, poke against it, try to duel out those DPS heroes, or put all of the focus on Nemo and push this Sigma back where he came from.
Support line needs to keep this Sigma alive. Aria already falling very low, but Kylie taking down Lime first. Avery forcing the position forward, trying to get them back, and the Immortality Field comes out to save Avery. Now all the shields coming through as they back off and disengage, waiting for that next push as their cooldowns come back. Aria, however, going down. Z Panther should be able to get some damage down from the back line using the Moon Boots, and Lime now switching over to the Echo.
That was really nice stuff by Nemo. Absorbed the pressure at first, waited for the rest of Fable to go dive the backline, and then pushed Avery off of the point. Perfect read of the ebb and flow of the fight, and when the focus is on that Sigma, but it's not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, now we have that Echo to put a bit more pressure up from above as well, and Aria switching over to the Ash instead, dealing with this Pharah quite well in the air when you have that hit camp DPS. You already see Crystal Rain having to go back, Valkyrie coming through as the Amp Matrix from Emilia, looking to stave off the pressure and force a bit of positioning as well. They're trying to dive into the Hotel Finopi going down. That's going to stall out Fable a bit longer.
Yeah, the Ash deals with the Pharah, but it doesn't deal with the Hanzo. In fact, it kind of does the exact opposite, but they don't have to deal with either of them. It's the Sigma going down, Nemo's gone, and the House of Cards begins to crumble.
Yeah, without Nemo, this is such a tough fight. Suddenly, the Immortality Field already out, and we have Lime just morphing into that Pharah with the duplicate, seeing if they can find a little bit of damage. Here we have Crystal Rain trying to go for the Rocket Barrage, but it is not enough. Emily is taken out of the range of the Immortality Field. Nemo looking to try and get something done with the Hamster Ball, but it is not enough. Fable, with a clean 2-0, 2 ticks on King's Row, are able to win out the first round of Swiss stage.
I mean, it was a nice attempt at the hold. They got a couple of clean fight wins in there. And honestly, I think, again, their recognition of win conditions, their plans coming into the fight were both really good for Meow for Pocket. At the end of the day, I just think it came down to execution and mechanics, where Fable just rise above the rest. And let's be real with ourselves. You look at Fable's roster, you expect them to out-mechanic, out-execute most teams here.
They have a lot of added firepower between last major and this one. I mean, Fable kind of not really the hugest name in the last major, but in the minor, we saw a lot of them playing together. Avery especially being kind of the core of this Fable roster, and now with the added firepower of Karopi, and you have Aria obviously on a tear as well. It is just really good, really good stuff out of this roster, and I'm really excited to see who is going to be our Chipotle MVP for this match. We have one for every single matchup of today.
And we'll find out who that MVP is coming up just after this break. You guys stay tuned.
back. We have just completed the first round of Swiss stages for day one of the Radiant Heroes Major 3, and we just saw a banger match from Fable versus Meow versus for Pocket, where Fable were able to take it 2-0 on the first two maps of Antarctic Peninsula and King's Row. Looking at the match replays, it was definitely pretty intense on Fable's side, and there were some moments of brilliance coming out from Mal for Pocket as well, but at the end of the day, it just seemed like Fable, they were able to claim the victory.
Yeah, the coordination was there for Meow for Pocket, but it was as well for Fable, and that individual capability we see out of the DPS and tank line of Fable really shone through today. Aria, Lime, and Avery were all immense problems in terms of damage output and creating pressure on the opposing side, to the point that Meow for Pocket just couldn't deal with it. And of course, credit where it's due to the support line of Fable, but I think their job was relatively easy today in terms of the fact that there was just no pressure on them. The Far was shooting at them every once in a while, but outside of that, it was a pretty straightforward help out with the damage for the Baptiste to keep the team alive on Lucio. But that leads us to our MVP. Quick little drum roll. It is, of course, Avery. I mean, who else? When you talk about raw damage output and maintaining, I think, what was basically perfect space against the opposing tank, you saw every little bit of Sigma that you wanted to today out of Avery. And I think they're going to be very scary moving forward in the tournament.
I mean, one death in 6 minutes. I mean, credit to the support line as well here, but it was such good spacing, especially in that very first round when we saw the engage come through. It looked like all was lost when the entire DPS line of Fable went down. Avery was able to disengage on that push on through from Meow for Pocket, even while separated from the support line from Finopi and and they were able to get through the hotel and re-engage without even a single tick, and that was just artfully, masterfully done by Avery.
Yeah, they did it time and time again, regardless of the situation, defending, attacking on the map, whether they were taking space or trying just to hold it. I feel like there was a really great understanding of the ebb and flow, and not just of the composition, but also in terms of how the composition plays into other ones. Because I think it's one thing to know the meta matchup versus the meta matchup. It's another thing to be ready for a Pharah to be thrown at you just completely at random and deal with it perfectly like Avery did. So some real credit due. But there were 5 amazing players on Fable's side, and one of them being Aria, who we're going to talk to now in our Chipotle Real Talk interview.
So hello, Aria. Are you with us? How are you?
Oh my god, I'm with you guys in the room. Hello.
Hello.
Oh my god, hello, welcome. So that was a great match that you just played. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. We felt really confident going into it, feeling confident for the next 2 weekends.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like you guys were pretty confident going in just because of the meta. I think you, of all people, feel pretty comfortable with this thing shift towards Sojourn just as major 3 hits. That's got to feel pretty good, no?
Yeah, I mean, people were playing Bastion still last tournament, and I was still playing Sojourn and doing well, so this is even better.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you said you're feeling pretty confident for this weekend and the next one. And I'm wondering, is there anyone that you are really excited to see or really want to play in this tournament thus far?
Yes, it is. What they call themselves this tournament? Michael Wave. I need them to go down. I must defeat them. They're evil.
Michael, oh, okay.
You're now mortal enemies. We have it on broadcast. Don't worry.
Yes.
Okay,
you
so are you
bloodthirsty.
like the protagonist here, or are they the villain, or are
Did you hear that? Yes, Tala. That was a very evil yes.
They are evil for sure.
So they're
we are
the
the
evil
protagonists.
mastermind.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, but I mean, this tournament for Fable, I think is very important. It not only secures your spot in the championship, I believe you have to do, I think, kind of just on par for what we expect out of you to get that qualification spot into the championship as well. There's an amazing prize pool and a meta that suits you. I want to know what drives you in particular, Aria, for this particular major. Is it the qualification? Is it the prize pool? Is it trying to play well in a meta where you feel like you can really show your skills off at their best? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I love showing off and showing everyone what I'm capable of. But most of all, I just like empowering, all of the underrepresented genders through the tournament. And so something like this is always really nice to compete in.
That is really awesome to hear. And is there anything that you would really love to play this tournament that might not be in the meta? I know for your squad specifically, you kind of have it playing into your hands, the Sojourn meta, the Sigma for Avery. I mean, it's looking really good, but is there anything that you would really love to see?
Yes, but we don't want to reveal our cards yet. So, but yes.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes.
So,
Well, I'm
so
not
we got
saying.
secrets.
So what you're saying is they have to follow the Twitch channel and stay tuned for more Calling All Heroes, right?
Absolutely, yes.
We got big surprises on the horizon, but Aria, thank you so much for popping in for the interview.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
All right, bye-bye.
Well, I would love to see what they're cooking in the kitchen.
Right,
Apparently,
exactly.
they're brewing some secrets in that cauldron.
A couple Chipotle burritos, a little Aria, a little
Oh,
Avery,
yeah, for sure.
and we get
They
there.
got to throw in the salsa, the spice into this
Exactly,
tournament.
exactly.
It's definitely going to be real fun to see what they're cooking up. But Fable versus Meow for Pocket. Fable coming out on top. Very clean 2-0. Avery as the Chipotle match MVP, and that interview with Aria. I think it's really nice to see so many people coming out, answering that call, and being able to inspire underrepresented genders over here in gaming.
Yeah, and that means that there's more Overwatch on the horizon. Of course, we've got 3 best of 3s coming today. That's the first of them down, but there's plenty more Overwatch to be played, so make sure your eyes are glued to your screens, your butts firmly planted in your seats, because we'll be back with round 2 of Swiss.
an extended break, but no worries. We are right back with the round 2 of Swiss stages over here in the Radiant Heroes Major 3. I am Epitomes once again joined by Door, and we are so excited for this next matchup.
That's right. I mean, we're getting two of the top teams here at Calling All Heroes. How could you not be excited for Drainers versus Michael Wave? Two teams that I think not only are exciting for their position in the standings, but also what they bring to the table in terms of things we'll actually get to see in game. This should be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, you might have heard Michael Wave's name over in the last matchup where we heard Fable win and Aria saying that she thought Michael Wave, they were the villains in this story. So I'm excited to see what they're going to be bringing to the table. Drainers on the other side, currently 3rd place in the standings. They made it very far as well in the last Calling All Heroes minor. So this is an exciting one.
Yeah, no matter who you consider the villains in this story, both of these teams are kind of non-conformist when it comes to the meta as well. On one hand, a team that wants to play Rhine and nothing else. On the other hand, a team that wants to play something that is, I mean, arguably a teensy bit more meta in the Doomfist, but still very far off from what we've actually gotten to see today, which is Sigma, Sigma, Sigma.
Yeah, Sigma thus far, but we're switching things up. We're getting things really spicy for the second matchup today. Looking at both of these rosters as well, it's going to be a really exciting one. They have so much firepower on both sides, but also the standings thus far in the Swiss stages.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the specific roster of Michael Wave. Death on DPS, Zoe backing them up. Mari on tank is somebody to be feared. Maybe, I don't think there's any odds we get a look at the Hog rework. It's just not been proven particularly competitive, but should it be there, Mari's the person to watch. AJMR and Wicca back that lineup up with one of the most impressive support lines, I think, in all of Calling All Heroes. Those two are going to be a powerhouse backline.
Yeah, this is a really impressive support line. And I actually remember when speaking to Mari before, she said that she really enjoyed playing the Sigma and like the Hog. I feel like is a little bit troll, but this team, they're definitely going to be bringing us a treat. On the other side of Drainers, they are what we probably know as the Reinhardt team thus far. They really are committed to that Rhine Brawl.
Yeah, Drainers recently put up a pretty solid performance in the Flash Ops tournament. Got to watch a little bit of their run. They did fantastically there, lining this team up. Par, Senna backing that up. Kindred still supporting this team. Kindred, somebody you should absolutely keep your eyes on. Zep and Lane, oh my god, that's a whole lot of Hog.
Oh wow. Did they? I think they were really trying to go for the memo.
It would have looked really great if we could have just like, you know,
Kindred, like the Junker Queen in the middle, and you have like the Hogs on all sides. Yup.
Whole lot of Australia in that roster too, you know?
They're all from Junkertown. You know how it is.
Yeah.
It's a Junker roster. And Drainers, I mean, this roster, the heroes that they're teasing here, a little bit troll, but I think when you see what they're going to be actually running in the match, it is going to be really impressive. And definitely, I mean, it's not quite 3 Hogs and a Junkrat and a Junker Queen, but it's something that you probably will have a similar reaction to.
Yeah, and for me, what I'm looking at, we talked about the tanks being a little bit less than normal in this matchup at times, but when you have powerhouses like Kindred and Mari tanking for these teams, I start to look at the back line. What can we offer up to those tanks to actually get them through these fights? Zep and Lane are going to have their work cut out for them because, again, that back line for the opposing side, especially with Wicca on it, going to be real tough business to deal with.
Yeah, lots of competitive experience on both sides, especially in the tank. And when tank is such a powerful role in Overwatch 2, especially in this Sigma meta, it's really so dependent on how well you can play quote-unquote Sigma. But then when you have these two teams both kind of wanting to switch it up, it's a lot more tough, a lot more competitive.
Yeah, and I think the map's going to bode pretty well for that. We're starting things off on Busan here in round 2 of the Swiss stage, and I think that just opens up all kinds of possibilities for fun compositions, whether you want to run the dive, whether you want to run the rush. There's, I think, plenty of flexibility brought to the table by Busan, as well as map variety in those actual sub-maps that offer abilities for you to run whatever you want, or try and kind of focus on one map and maybe flex on another over to the other team's composition.
I think that Busan is such a good start for both of these teams, and really seeing if you're going to be running that brawl composition, and on the other side the dive. And I think with definitely a backline like the one that you have for Michael Wave, you can play a dive so well, especially since you know that backline is going to be well protected and very survivable. It's not going to be as much of a weak point as it may be if you have a weaker support line.
Yeah, and I mean there is one mild concern, and look, it's as mild as it comes here for Michael Wave, but I don't know if you've heard legends exactly of Wicca Wednesday, but it isn't Wicca Wednesday, and that's important. Wicca 100% win rate on Wednesdays in contenders. Outside of Wednesdays, total crapshoot. Nobody knows. Not Wicca Wednesday. So I think Michael Wave may have a little bit of a tougher time here against Drainers, and Wicca in particular has got to make sure they've got their thinking cap on, because she is going to be probably locking in a fair bit of Lucio here, and is going to be important to actually keeping this team moving forward.
Wicca was Saturday.
Wicca Watterday?
Wicca Watterday. The W stands for Wicca.
It's a stretch, but maybe it works.
Well, it's raining, so Wicca Water Day.
Okay. Bars?
we're just bringing through all the days of the week. Okay, any of them have the name starting with S? Let's just put our thinking caps on for a second.
Wicca one day? I don't know. Like we can just put it at the beginning of all of them if we really want to. We can just make that happen.
Exactly. Maybe you could also say
maybe it's a Wicca weekend.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then there's Wicca weekdays as well. So now all the days just belong to Wicca. I think
that's a lot of pressure
we're
for
letting
Wicca,
her get too powerful. We got to slow this down.
We gotta just. That's why she government assigned Wednesdays.
We got big stuff coming up this map, though. Wicca being one of them, but of course alongside Busan, got some special stuff in tune. If you guys are feeling hungry, I know it's lunchtime in certain parts of the U.S. Make sure you get your free 2,000 Chipotle burritos. That's not 2,000 to one person. You guys, I need you to share appropriately, but the bowls and burritos are out now. Text your RAD232 to 888222 to get your shot at those 2,000 free Chipotle burritos, and bowls will be giving them out throughout the stream, both today, tomorrow, the days in the next rounds as well of the actual bracket itself. So do not miss out on any of the streams, especially if you're feeling hungry and lucky.
I mean, it's around lunchtime over here on the West Coast, and if you're looking for a burrito lunch, this is the perfect opportunity. So go ahead and text that as soon as possible so you can get your free burrito from Chipotle, especially if you're a Chipotle lover.
This is like such a philanthropist Overwatch broadcast. We're giving away contender skins. There's like the drops going on. There's like Battle Pass XP. I'm not sure if that's on
you
these
get a
Twitch channels or not.
burrito.
And then you get a burrito. Check under your seats. There's like keys to a car or something, but there's no actual car. It's just the keys. And now we actually get some good Overwatch to go alongside it. I'm hoping for big stuff here as we start off on Busan. The question is, of course, what sub-map we start on. I don't think it matters too much for these two teams. I think they are intent on running exactly what they are intent on running, regardless of the particularities of the situation. But maybe we can change the texture of that in terms of the DPS run alongside it. Possibly the support lineups may change depending on which map we get as well. I think the big thing to look for is likely whether Wicca is running on Lucio, or possibly something to kind of support the other support, so to speak, and like a Brigitte is always a possibility as well, as we get a little pause here coming into game number 1.
Yep, pause right out the gate, but giving us a lot more time to speculate about what these team compositions are going to look like. But it seems like we are going to be starting out on... No, this is still just the flyover. Sorry, I fooled myself. But for the compositions, if we're looking at dive, I think we still are going to see that Sojourn just because of how much teams are favoring that one-shot potential. But for the secondary DPS, it's going to have to be someone that is going to be able to follow up on a dive if they're playing it. So I don't think it's going to be that Mei as the secondary.
I would love a little bit of Echo for either of these teams. Into the Doomfist, into Ryan, into Junker Queen, or whatever your brawl preference is. Echo's fantastic at applying a ton of pressure to those tanks, and the focusing beam is kind of the name of the game in that regard. Once they drop below half HP, I don't care who you've got in your backline, whether or not it's Wicca Wednesday, that tank's getting beamed down, and it is a big problem if you've got a player who's got it in their back pocket.
Echo can basically shred down any tank at a certain HP threshold. I think there's a possibility that we see the Genji as well, but I don't know. Do you think that they're going to take out that good old Tracer Sombra at any point in time if they do stick with the hardcore dive?
I mean, most teams haven't really liked the new Sombra all that much. I mean, we saw like some effectiveness with it in the World Cup in stall situations and kind of when it's unexpected, but I don't think any teams are really implementing it too quickly right now. But after those ultimate changes come through, maybe they will. Starting things off, though, it's Sanctuary to open things up. I think a map that Microwave are actually pretty happy with.
Ready for battle.
Well, looking at the starting team compositions, this is what we've been waiting for. The Doom Fist on Mari. And it is not troll. It is not a troll, but Kindred matching the Doom Fist, that is a surprise because in the last minor, we saw Drainers play a lot of that Reinhardt composition with the Symmetra to kind of close that gap in between the teams and make up for it in the Brawl comp. But now, matching the Doom Fist, we don't know how this is going to go yet.
Yeah, this is a map peculiarity, right? It's Busan Sanctuary. It's one of the longest range control points in the entire game. Playing Reinhardt on this map, even with the Sim TP, is kind of just hellish, right? You're just like walking at the enemy team 24/7. It feels really bad. So for this map in particular, we get Kindred on the Doomfist, but I doubt it'll stay that way. With Mari being more comfortable on this pick, though, you have to give a slight leg up to Michael Wave.
Drainers, they're trying to wrap around and get that urgent damage down Senna with the ultimate flank onto Mari, but Zoe's with the first pick, and Scepter, and that's going to leave a huge sore spot in the back line, but it's actually just a trade between two supports. Death and Senna also trading 1-for-1, but without the back line of Michael Wave, they're still able to keep alive and stay on that point.
Yeah, despite the lack in Ana, they're managing to run Drainers out of the point here, at least get that first hit going up. And first hit in matchups like this matters so much because both these teams can keep that point tick going for so long, even if they lose the fight. The percentage gained by that first team is immense.
Curious about this Genji versus Tracer matchup as well. We see Zoe trying to go 1-to-1 with Tar here, getting a bit of damage, but now Mari going down early because of Santik's biotic nade. That is amazing. Now we're looking at a team without a front line trying to make a way into their point. Kindred just doing a lot of disruption here on the DPS line while the Anti is going to force the rest of Microwave back.
I mean, you lose your tank, that's kind of just the fight. Even in dive competitions like this that can play those messier fights. Actually, Microwave have to be careful they don't overextend here. Yeah, they absolutely do. It was a punch forward by Mari that sent him there, and Keith just, you know, valiantly followed and caught a pulse bomb for their efforts to save their tank.
Nano in two of these Ana's back pockets, but in terms of ultimate economy, Drainers are a little bit of a leg up. Kindred's almost onto that Meteor Strike, but they're missing their DPS ultimates.
A big advantage for Microwave in terms of having that DPS ulti available. Nano Blade is a very scary threat the Drainers have to deal with, but like we said, this is a very long map. It is not so impossible to disengage Nano Blade just because of the distances that you can keep that Genji away at, especially if you get a first pick on Mari again! This is the Doomfist player in the lobby, and they can first pick 2 fights in a row now.
Now they're just forcing the fight with the overclock, though. This is amazing. This is so well done with the Nano overclock, and now Death just finding so much, living up to their name with that railgun and flipping that point over despite Mari going down first. A really good cleanup from Microwave.
Not a fight they should have won by any means, but Drainers, I think, just got a little cocky after their initial tank pick. Instead of holding the space to step forward and into the welcoming arms of a whole lot of ultimates. And Microwave, because they only spent 2, still have plenty left for this fight. Drainers don't necessarily have a super combo to finish with, but with Scarlet down, it becomes a lot more possible.
Yeah, Scarlet going down, Keith, the Athlete vulnerable. So now without the support line, Microwave, how do you hold on to this? Mari getting separated as the Doomfist. That is just never goes well. Senna looking to hold on in the 1v1 against Zoe, getting a bit of that deflection, but still can't stay alive, and that's a bit of a stagger on top of it.
I feel like I'm witnessing like a Wild West duel. Both teams have been holstered for like 2 fights. Yeah, they spent the Nano overclock, but Drainers, they don't overinvest either. They get the first pick, they only spend Nano. So now we have 2 teams with ultimates holstered, ready to let go a barrage of abilities that realistically either team could fall to.
Kindred really careful with the positioning here when they're trying to aggress onto Amari, just making sure to stay in the LOS and very aware of those sight lines. Now we sleep onto Zoe as that Dragon Blade comes through. The rally from Scarlet tries to keep Zoe alive and force them to flip that point over, but a little bit later, Zepturn throws out the rally of their own, and that overhealth is going to help that team a bit more. Par, however, getting stunned. Now the Brigitte 1v1, Zepturn comes out on top.
Such a messy fight. Break versus Doom. Mari with 80 HP just lives through it. Kindred comes in, gets the pick. It's Tracer versus 2 on point. 2v1 now. And Zoe's got a clutch. We're just buy time for the rest of the team. Can they get the blinks onto the point to proc overtime? No. Santix picks off Zoe as she blinks through. 100-74. A massive upset for Microwave and Drainers. Drainers taking away the Doomfist map. This was, in all of Busan, the one map where you would give Microwave a significant advantage because of their capability on the Doomfist composition, because the Reinhardt doesn't play well at all on Sanctuary. Kindred even flexes over to the tank, and yet it is a disaster for Microwave. Mari gets first picked, what, 3 fights in a row on the Doomfist? You would never expect that out of Mari, but nevertheless, here we are. We shift on over to Mecha Base, and Kindred staying on the Doomfist. I expected it on Sanctuary, but to get a shift to the Doomfist on Mecha Base is wild for Drainers, but I guess it might just be a stick to what's working mentality for them, right? If they're already winning the game, there's no need to shift over to that signature composition quite yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a part of not wanting to reveal the cards a little bit too early. They're well known to play that competition, and maybe they just don't want too much of that VOD footage. Now, starting off the second map, it seems like Drainers are looking to get that first point capture right as it unlocks, while Mari switches over to the Sigma.
Forward, Scarlet overextends though. Microwave getting kicked apart on his high ground. Look at this. They're taking bits off the turkey bone from Thanksgiving last week. Like, this is pick after pick after pick for Drainers. Microwave don't know where to look. There's a Genji behind them, a Doomfist in front of them. And somehow like a Brig ends up in their backline at the same time. This is ridiculously impressive traded aggro by Drainers.
Drainers have such good control right now, and they're switching over to the Genji pick on par as well, and it's already 80% up to the Dragon Blade. This is such good pacing on the ultimate, and we talked about the Sigma Doomfist matchup a little bit here, and Doomfist does play well into the Sigma, like we said before. I mean, Kindred gets a little bit of health down, but there's just so much sustain coming from Drainer's side. Par might be in a little bit of danger, trying to escape. Oh, no, Par's fine.
Yeah, and again, it's that long sightline for the Ana, the traded aggro I was talking about. When Par's getting pushed out, that's when Senna and Kindred look to dive in. And then right as they go down, it's the Blade coming out. Again, this rotating of the aggression from Drainers allows them to tank that damage, allows them to eat that aggression from Microwave and completely absorb it, firing back with a counter punch stronger than ever.
Yeah, that was just so clean from Par. The support right there from Zepturn as well, keeping the sustain up, making sure that Inspire is being procced is just so well coordinated on this second sub-map from Drainers, and their ultimate pacing is so good. Microwave, they need to find something to counter. They have that Blizzard potentially, but immediately forcing out the Immortality Field from Keith, and now they've left once again that back piece vulnerable. The dive goes down, the Meteor Strike as well. Keith falls, and now they have to rely on that, on Scarlet, on the Lucio, but there's just no time. They're just being walled out, but they can't get into the point.
You know the anime fights where like the person's basically just a line across the screen and they're like ping-ponging a million places? That's what Drainers are, and Microwave's just like trying to keep up, but they have no clue. The 5 members of Drainers rotate so quickly and so often that Microwave doesn't know where the target is at. This time they zero in on that Ana in the back line, but not before Death is traded out on. Drainers cut off the rotation of most of Microwave, but we'll see if they can actually capitalize. If things get dirty, the dive composition plays a lot better. Drainers in a fantastic position here to finish off Mario. He's only got 250 HP. The break just holding shield for dear life. Mario's able to pick them off before going down with 18 HP. They are not long for life either. Drainer and Kindred on the Doomfist finish off the opposing side in no more than 2 maps on the composition that they were touted to be playing.
And I mean, there is just no way to understate how well Drainers played this second sub-map, but that first map, they were able to take it away. Kindred, I felt like, had such good awareness of those sight lines, of the length of that first Sanctuary map as well, where the Ana was positioned and making sure to stay within line of sight, and then the Brigitte was always there to make sure to stave off that pressure from the backline when both of them were playing that dive. And we talked a lot about the backline of Microwave and how strong that could have been, but I feel like the backline of Drainers cannot be understated. They did incredibly well on Busan.
Yeah, their positioning was dead on. I mean, you know, they came in with a plan here, but I have to give credit where it's due. Like you talked about, the first sub map was like, it was good, but realistically, I think you could put a lot of that down to overextensions by Microwave and Maria in particular, who again, you expect to perform very well on the Doomfist. No shade. Like normally extremely good, but getting first pick 3 times in a row, yeah, that's gonna lose a sub map for you. Right? And then you look over at the other side, map number 2, completely different story. It felt like Microwave came in with a strong plan. They came in with a good composition for the Sigma, and they got picked apart. I mean, Drainers took them for a walk there. There was no way that they could look. That was the appropriate way to look when dealing with dive coming from this many angles. Incredible stuff from Drainers. I cannot overstate it. And I'm still honestly not even 100% sure if this is what they would normally run on that map. I think if they lost that first map decisively in the Doomfist mirror, I think there's a very strong chance that we saw something like a Reinhardt, like a Junker Queen on Mecha Base. But because they won that first map and they said, hey, look, if we get mirrored here, we know we can win. Like, there's no reason to go for the swap. Again, because that Doomfist composition does play so well into the Sigma like we see here.
Yeah, I mean, and they were able to force down the cooldowns from the Baptiste especially so effectively. And when they were trying to rotate in with the Gravitic Flux and the Sound Barrier, they just got cut off at the knees. And then all of a sudden you have Mari trying to sustain into this Doomfist, and they were able to find one, but the rest of the squad rotated in so quickly. Just really nicely done from Drainers. It was really impressive. Now we have some head-to-head Death versus Senna. Senna doing just a little bit more damage, but the elims and the final blows, that's really the sore point here on Busan.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like, it's a weird difference, right? Because they're both, of course, doing the damage, but one of them is doing a lot more damage into the backline. Senna, of course, with those eliminations, I think likely just pulled ahead in the second map more than anything. It was probably pretty even coming out of Busan, but the second that second map came up and Senna had basically infinite space to do whatever they wanted, that's when things become a real problem with the Sojourn. Because I imagine, I mean, Death spent most of their time just like shooting a Doomfist, right? That's a lot of that damage, which unless the Doomfist dies, it's basically non-existent, right? So this is not necessarily a function of like who's better at Sojourn so much as you see the effects of how much space each player's team respectively were making and just how much more there was for Drainers.
Is just going to be, I'm really interested to see what hybrid map they're going to pick onto this next one. I mean, you said, is Midtown really an option? We all love and know King's Row, but seeing how that first map went, maybe they want to.
I think it's Midtown. Actually, like,
yeah,
King's Midtown, okay, brawl map, but Midtown for Rhine,
Caster Curse,
I would say would have been a little bit worse for the Reinhardt, but okay, we're going King's Row. I mean, look, it's a classic Reinhardt map. It is a very good Sigma map. There is, of course, that. I thought Midtown was going to come out, though, because it kind of counterpicks Drainers a little bit more effectively. But if the Reinhardt's not what you're worried about, if you just want to play to your strengths and your comfortability, I do think King's Row does make plenty of sense.
I think it was just shaky footing from Microwave. They weren't expecting to lose that first sub-map, and after that, when they switch over to the Sigma, the Doom composition just plays so well into it, and that backline felt like such a sore point. They were always being isolated, especially with the dive compositions, and Sigma just wasn't able to effectively protect them in that comp. Now moving on to King's Row, I'm wondering if we see something similar, especially out of Microwave, because they are a team that has been playing a lot of Doomfist in the scrims.
I don't know, man. You've got to be so shaken up. The second you lose the Doom head-to-head when you're the Doom team is like, you just start panicking, you know? So you pull out a Sigma in the next map, and then the Sigma doesn't work, and now you're like, well, what do we do now, man? Like,
now they play the Reinhardt. Now they play
Reinhardt over. Yeah, that would be the real Giga Chad move. Go ahead, come on, Mari. Come on. No, it's back to the Doomfist. Okay. I don't. Okay, this
is
does
this Junkrat real? Junkrat real?
I mean, I like Junk on Kings. I like Hanzo more. Hanzo's just better Junk, to be
Junkrat
mostly
fake.
Realistic, but okay, yeah, Sojourn. As expected, Drainers making swaps. This was the worry, though, with King's Row, and it always was, right? When you pick Kings, you open up to the Reinhardt. Midtown, a little bit longer ranges, a little bit harder for the Reinhardt to properly get in a lot of those situations. But here on Kings, Drainers are kind of free to do whatever they want. While they won that Doomfist mirror prior, and I'm sure they're probably comfortable running into that mirror, they hear it on the other side, and they swap to what's comfortable for them. After that map 1 is passed, it is gloves off. Or not? Wait a minute. Why do they do this? They swapped to like 3 different compositions and right at the last second back to the Doomfist. Okay. The justification here being we beat you on the Doomfist before, we'll beat you on it again.
We'll do it again.
It is that straightforward. As Larry the Cable Guy would say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Okay, yeah, let's go after that backline, but Par immediately gets slept. This is really well done from Michael Wave to defend that backline. Scarlet and Keith now already opening up the picks.
And this is what they expect to do. Again, a large bit of the pain was just slight overextensions by Mari that were being punished by Drainers really effectively. If they have, in between those maps, a quick little, hey, just reel it back in a little bit, and it's an easy fix. It is an easy fix, in theory, and they can just peel away this Drainer's dive.
I feel a little bit like we know Doomfist buffs are coming. We're practicing. We're ready for the next patch.
Nades traded. Oh, Keith eats it. Is it an on-a-gap? Does Keith go down? Oh, Keith goes down. It's an on-a-gap. Santix wins that duel. Kindred gets into the backline, and now it's a problem. I mean, how does Microwave ever come back from this 3v5? They're getting hunted down, and I don't think there's any real recourse.
Oh, yep. They're just all in this little corridor, and what a whip shot. That was just like a long-range
satisfying
snipe.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, they pretty much have to let go of this point. They don't really have a good way of getting back to it, especially with the immobility of the backline thus far, and that's very easily headed on to that second capture.
Card unlocked. On to second point. Let's take a look at the ultimate charge because that's what really tells us the story of this one. Who has the ultimates to break or hold this choke point? Honestly, it looks pretty even. The big difference, though, is that the Nano is a lot closer for Santix, which means that the Nano Blade is a lot closer to being online. Though with this Meteor Strike, Mari might be able to get something done by going far into this backline and trying to seek out someone like a Santix, like a Senna.
We're almost able to take down Kindred, but the retreat was there. Now stuck into the choke, seeing how they try and get through. Zoe does have a Dragon Blade, and they're going to go for it, trying to get onto that back line. Par, however, with the Dragon Blade of their own, taking down both Death. Now Scarlet left over, has the rally, but isn't able to use it. It's Drainers all the way, able to get the team kill, and now pushes past that first choke.
Oh, it's really bad. So it came down to ultimates who got to break that choke point. It was like 10% ahead on Nano. For Santix that did it, that made the difference. But on the other side, Microwave, they spent Blade. They don't have Nano Blade for this fight. They don't get there like, oh, we get our one back after you used yours. They're gonna have to try and Nano overclock, which again, not always so easy, but Death looked good on it before. Zoe down though, now it's 4v5. It's more disasters falling apart here for Microwave.
Yeah, now Kindred gets that high ground with the Meteor Strike. I mean, you get the Meteor Strike out of Kindred at the very least, but look at the pacing. They're still having that overclock. They still have that rally on the other side, both support ultimates. But what are they supposed to nano here? Especially now that the overclock goes through. You see that nano go through, both support ultimates use, staving off all that pressure. But Drainers, they are just using that rally. Death is able to take down Zepter, now relying on Santix for the sustain. Senna goes through, and Drainers, they're going to have to back off of this one. Lots of deflection, but with that anti, Michael Wave finally stopped the bleeding.
Yeah, bit of miscommunication on Drainer's side. They knew the nano overclock was coming, and it looked like most of the team tried to disengage, but Zeptern was like, no, we're rallying, we're going in, we're gonna kill this Zeptern. and then it was just Zeptern, and all of a sudden things got really awkward. But the disengage idea was pretty good, right? They didn't try and make
the Brig mindset
real quick. But yeah, exactly. Could have bashed out, but again, a minor missing play. Now an overclock forward from Senna looks to punish what they think is an overextension on Mari, and they do get Mari, but nothing more.
Oh my god, wait, Trainers, they were able to get one, but the way that Santix was dancing around with Senna in that little corridor and was able to win that one out, even with the overclock active. Nicely done by Keith.
Now, as the dust settles from a very awkward fight, We actually get a couple of ultimates coming back online. The Nano Blade is not there for Drainers. The Nano Boost is too far to make it a reliable combo, so it's likely a Dry Blade in with a regular engage, and there's no real response from Microwave. They're just going to have to try and deny this Blade the value that it probably deserves, but if Par can find one with the Blade here, it will be enough.
Yeah, Par, I mean, has been really good on these blades. Kindred first of all. That's going to be another stall, though. They don't want to engage this fight without a tank. The disengage comes through, and the antibiotic nade already being used.
Yeah, a lot of random kills that, I mean, realistically shouldn't be happening. Just small overextensions in the neutral. Whether it be nerves or miscommunication, it is errors, but they're constantly being punished. Both teams are diligent in looking for opportunities to catch other players out, but the name of this fight hasn't really changed. It's all about that initial blade.
Oh, the anti lands onto the players, and there's just the follow-up from Mari. Nicely done. Santix already down. Par looking to trade something back. That's actually good. Mari now falling. Drainer should be able to engage easily, and there's Par with the blade. Now being antied, having to disengage a little bit further. Blade's going to run out without a pick, but there's still that flank potential. Scarlet, however, finding Kindred now without a tank as Mari is coming back from a closer spawn. Both rallies looking to try and force the fight forward.
It's a really messy fight now. 3 players of Drainers. This rally got no value. I mean, Zepton popped it and just, like, was forced to back up the entire time. They thought they had numbers, but Microwave with the spawn advantage were the ones who had it in the end. And now look at the ultimate situation. It's desperate for Drainers. Nano Meteor Strike is nothing in the face of Nano Overclock Meteor Strike for the opposing side. How do you win this fight? You need to find a pick, but it's not happening. Santix is the one getting picked off.
Santix falling with the Nano in the back pocket. Still 30 seconds left over Death, however, raining hellfire from above. Able to get a lot of damage down with that overclock. Kindred, however, as the rest of the squad is being separated, now using that Meteor Strike, looking for the pick, trying to chase down Death. Can't find it. Instead, going for the re-engage. Now looking for Death. Take down.
Oh, God.
Oh, take down the Sojourn, but it's not enough. They're stunned, and now Overclock, or the overtime, comes through. They're trying to use Zepter to try and get through. They need some kind of sound barrier, need some kind of sustain. They're dancing around that point. The team is coming back now. Now the overclock comes through from Senna, finds Scarlet. They're taking down one of the supports already. Now they just need to find Zoe. Zoe is forced to back off, and they should be able to capture this point. Mari's coming back on through, trying to dive onto that back line, but there's no ultimates to come through. It's just a dry fight, and both sides, Kindred is able to take down the tank. Without tank now, Microwave, they have to find some way to force themselves forwards, but there's no ultimates, nothing in the back pocket, and they're able to finally capture that second point.
Drainers have got it, and they got to be thanking Senna time and time again for that initial opener, right? The Sojourn was kind of your only chance at getting in there, and boy did they. Now Microwave set to defend a 1 minute time egg. This seems very doable, considering that they've been playing good Overwatch for pretty much the entire rest of the map. I have had very few complaints about the way this team has been playing, but the swaps across the board are aplenty. Over to Winston for Microwave, over to the Junker Queen for Kindred, a very powerful pick in their hands. How do you out-brawl this when they've got a sound barrier to engage on you with?
Yeah, Zeptern was able to build up that sound barrier so quickly, and now Santix building up the Kitsune Rush as well. They're forcing the tempo as far forward as they can with those two ultimates. Sound barrier immediately going down as Zoe pops that Dragon Blade. How are they supposed to find a pick here? Oh, but Senna goes down, and now you have Zoe in the back line trying to contend with these two supports, and they're able to find all of them. Zoe immediately clutching that back with the team kill.
It's an ultimate disaster again. I mean, they spent sound barrier for a blade. Like that, the Nano's still there. Nano Monkey is now the problem that Drainers have to deal with. And if you look at the percentages at the top of their thing, there's no check marks. There's no shiny blue thing. There's nothing to deal with this Nano Winston or the Nano.
Oh, Overclock. The Nano Overclock comes through. Mari immediately takes down Par. DPS line down. Zeptern goes down. Kindred has nothing to sustain, and they get 40 meters in to third point. This is not bad at all. On Microwave's side, you are kind of seeing them starting to come together. They're getting the coordination, and it seems like they're getting a lot more space as well. A few small overextensions on Drainer's side, heavily punished.
Yeah, I think the difficulty is one of two things. One is that the Nanos on Microwave's side have been insanely effective because Death has just been a monster. when they've
Death is
been
on a tear.
pocketed for a lot of this, right? But then on the other side, Draeners just couldn't get a clean fight engage on B. I mean, I think they would hold themselves to the fact that it probably shouldn't have taken them that long to get that one fight, right? They had Blade, they weren't proactive enough with it, they got engaged on again, and then they got picked, and their time bank just got chipped down to nothing. So B was just kind of a particularly ugly point for Draeners, and they know they can clean it up here, because again, there's a team that we know has the capability to put up some really solid Overwatch, but when you're playing in these Doom mirrors, you can't really take anything for granted.
Okay, I think they found out Monkey was working, so they're going to be sticking with the Winston pick here.
I like it on the attacking side. On defense, the problem is the attackers will just swap Bastion, but on attack, the defenders don't really have that privilege, so it does feel a little bit more warranted in this position.
Yeah, so-called free thinkers, when they see a Monkey, as soon as they get that reset off, it's going to be Bastion in. But Draeners, they can't really afford to let that go over on the defense. Kendra's still on the Doomfist, seeing if they can get something done early.
Yeah, the poke battle, again, one that I'm giving a slight edge to Death, too, because they've been so fantastic this map. Draeners looking for the magic that made Mecha Base work, but I'm not sure they can find that consistent trade-off of aggression in the dive that they were able to when the point was a little more circle-shaped.
Yeah, with the walls to climb on over. Senna, however, finding that pick. Keith also taking down Par as a trade. But if you want to trade DPS for DPS, they can do that. They don't mind. Mari still looking on the high ground. Keith having to peek out and away for a little while, looking to get the sight lines onto the enemy Ana and land that anti. Does so. Senna goes down.
Wow.
Oh, that was nicely done.
I mean, Keith ruined Senna. The anti-nade hit into the follow-up. It was funny because Mari went to dive after the anti-nade, and it was dead before they hit the ground. It was like, there was no recourse for the Sojourn, and a clean fight win does bode well for Michael Wave here. And I think a lot of that comes down to them reading that early pick, right? Because that pick comes through, you know you have spawn advantage as the attacking side, so they reset quicker, they gain the space, and then used it to find another pick onto center. There's not really too much else to it. Now it's about getting through that choke and trying to utilize the ultimate advantage that they've garnered, because again, they have that nano, they have that overclock. Draeners can't really step up here, and Michael Wave know it.
That Kindred mirroring the Winston now, but they weren't able to get the sight lines as Kindred dropped in, and now Santix goes down immediately to Keith. This is just a support trade, and the stagger as well should allow them to get a lot of progress on this point.
He's a bit of a problem. I'm not gonna lie. That's two really useful picks coming out from an Ana. And it's only making the ultimate situation worse. It's not like this damage is being healed up, it's just picks. Right? So the supports aren't really getting ult charged. Draeners aren't moving towards any answer to what Microwave are about to offer up. Whether it's on the Sojourn or the Winston, it will be dangerous.
Yeah, Senna and Death in this 1v1. You have to give the edge to Death. I mean, they are getting the nano overclocks here as well, but it's just the value that they're able to get from these overclocks. Now Keith having that nano in, trying to keep Death alive for the fight. Now using the overclock, trying to shred through the health of the nanoed Winston. Able to get out with the Primal Rage, but still an ultimate expended for nearly no value. And now you have an Ana just isolated. Oh my god, Zepturn comes in time. Death goes down though. And the rally from both sides, staving off the pressure. There's the Primal Rage to come through as well. And Par finding Scarlet. Still a very messy fight. Bubble goes down, dancing in and out, and Draeners finally come out on top.
Real nicely done by Draeners. I mean, it was a defensive fight for them. They wanted to just play a little proactive, gain that space, and then keep Kindred alive through the nano, because you're trading it for a nano overclock on the other side. It is efficient for Draeners. Now they're up 2 DPS ultimates to 1. Yes, there's a Primal Rage there for Mari, but the DPS ultimate's a little bit more impactful in this situation. See if they can leverage that into another fight win here.
They really zeroed in on trying to get Santix out of that fight, and Zepturn came in just in time to take down Death, which really snowballed that fight for Draeners' favor. Now, looking for another defensive fight with both DPS ultimates in the pocket. Mari has the Primal Rage to get things started, but it's going to be Death to once again start the engagement. Par needs to find some way to engage back, but they cannot. Par immediately goes down to Scarlet, and Santix is only going to be able to trade back with a kill, but it doesn't stop Michael Wave from pushing forward.
Yeah, I think Santix going down here kind of kills any chance at a recontest, save for maybe a absolute final second one. Is that a monkey going down? Oh, I thought for sure that was an environmental. No, It's Mari continuing the storm forward for Michael Wave. A 2-3 time bank at the end of B here. And the juggle off, absolutely. No contest for you, no siree. 4 minutes on the clock. 2 ultimates, a nano and a blade with Drainer's name on it to send this card over the victory box.
Yeah, Michael Wave, they have such good pace. Every single fight after fight, they've just been snowballing. And you have Kindred trying to peek in, but they just get shredded so quickly, especially with death on this tear. It's not quite a Bastion, but that Sojourn can still put out the DPS at close range in these dive-style compositions.
Michael Wave's got to be more proactive. We can't keep holding neutral. We had an ultimate advantage. Alas, they wait, they bide their time, and it just means that they lose a player early. Senna is able to step forward with the nano boost. Michael Wave kind of miss an opportunity for an early nano blade along with that aggression. I want to see a proper dive here. Unless they're trying to wait it out for like nano overclock on death, which has been really consistent for them, I see no reason to not be proactive in this instance.
Yeah, Zoe has also been doing some magic here, and there is the Nano Blade. Zoe going in on the back line. It is just immediate. How does Kindred stay alive? How does Kindred sustain the Primal Rage just a second too late? And there is nothing to do for Drainers. Michael Wave taking King's Row.
Nicely done. It was a bit of a slog at the end of the day to get that cart to where they want it to be. It felt like neither team wanted to look for proactive fights, which was kind of weird considering the way that the first map went, which is kind of both teams juggling claim over the proactive fight. Now on King's Row, there was a lot of situations where we saw teams with ultimate advantages being unwilling to kind of step forward and make that all in play on the dive composition. But at the end of the day, that's what it actually took to win the map. That final play, stepping up, being the team to all in on the dive and send that nano blade in, was what won it for Michael Wave. And honestly, I think that's what won it for a lot of their fights. They were proactive in their defensive B, and I think that was one of the best that we've actually seen them over the course of the series. And then proactive with that final C take. It's really nice to see.
Yeah, they really found their footing in this map, and I think they might be running a lot more of the Doomfist and the Winston. And I mean, the Doomfist really found the footing here as well. Kindred felt like they were just a little bit of a step behind Mari. She was able to get a lot of value on this Doomfist, and now headed on to the next one, we're looking at a Flashpoint now.
Yeah, and Flashpoint I think actually plays super cool because I think both these teams can actually run exactly what they wanted to. If you want to play that Rhine into the Doomfist, it's absolutely there. The map plays well for Rush. If you want to play the Doomfist, the map plays great for Doomfist as well. And I'm sure that's exactly what Mari wants to go to. Mari, like you said, a bit of a redemption run on the Doomfist. And I have to give credit where it's due. It was a lot better than it looked on map number 1.
Yeah, and the DPS of Michael Wave as well felt like they were on fire during King's Row, especially on that attacking side where they were given so much space, just being able to follow up. And the backline as well, the entirety of Michael Wave's team, they really shaped up during this map. Last map, we were giving a lot of credit to the support line of Drainers, and I think that Michael Wave maybe didn't like being shown up like that.
No, in map number 3, I think it's going to be even harder to consistently throw that back in Michael Wave's face because the map counterpick isn't necessarily as strong on Flashpoint. And all the talk that I've had with pros, with contenders players, with calling all heroes players, the general consensus with Flashpoint is that getting map pick on Flashpoint, it matters to some degree, right? There's some kind of change in play style across the maps, but because there's so many points on each of the map and the points can play so differently and so varied, kind of on average, you're feeling pretty similar about most of them. And so if I'm Michael Wave, I'm saying, okay, yeah, we won that and they get the map pick, but it's not the end of the world. Whether we go Saravasa or whether we go Junkertown, kind of immaterial at this point for what comps are going to be played and how the map's going to kind of go down.
Yeah, Saravasa, we haven't seen the Reinhardt composition out of Drainers yet, and that's basically what they are known for. So I'm wondering if we're going to see the Reinhardt just yet. Saravasa and these Flashpoint in general, those long rotations with the Reinhardt, it can be a little bit difficult to close that gap. So you kind of need to bring out a few supplementaries. You bring out the Lucio, you bring out the Baptiste.
Yeah, I expect JQ a little bit more than I expect a Reinhardt here, just because the JQ has that better sustain, has the range to deal with some of the trickier issues that Saravasa on certain points can offer up. They could kind of swap back and forth depending on what point they're on, but I don't see them realistically doing that. But like you said, whether it's the Reinhardt, whether it's the Junker Queen, I think this is where we go back to our roots if we're Drainers, and we try to get that brawl through.
Yeah, I'm wondering as well if we are going to see, if we are, there's no way to tie on Flashpoint, if I'm correct.
No.
So we are not going to be getting the burrito eating from this matchup. At least we're done with the hybrid. You're safe. You're safe, Door.
This map can go very long though. I
Yes.
did a bit on my stream when I was co-streaming where I put a marshmallow in my mouth while I was casting for every elim on a map, and I've done it for a couple map types now. It's never fun, right? But doing it over the course of a 5-point Flashpoint map might be the most hellish experience I've had in my entire life. Okay,
You look like a chipmunk by the end.
So it might not be a draw, but this map can go very, very long. And honestly, for the sake of this series, for what these two teams have been putting up, they deserve a whole match. Both of them have, I think, had their shaky moments, but adapted phenomenally to both their own playstyle and the way this match is shaping up, because it's a very unorthodox map. Adaptation is the name of the game. You know, it's only a 3-map series. Normally we talk about adaptation on the scale of 5-map series, right, over the course of a big arc. But over 3 maps, we've seen what? Like a bajillion different compositions offered up. We saw the Sigma, we saw the Doomfist, we saw the Winston, various DPS changes behind them, and we know the Reinhardt's still on the table, and it's only been 2 maps so far. There is so much to the series, so I hope we get all 5 here. It deserves all 5.
There was... Yeah, well, we are starting on Saravasa as soon as possible, and these long rotations like we're talking about, the adjustments that can come out from Flashpoint, it's a little bit shaky because neither team really has spawn advantage on these points. It's more like if you're losing, then you rotate to the next point a little bit quicker, and it's harder to counterpick in these types of matchups.
Yeah, well, I think it's a little bit harder to counterpick just because you don't know your team is, or what the opposing side is going to come out on. Both teams have shown so much flexibility and so much willingness to come out. We talk about like, okay, to me, in my opinion, this is probably time to like look at something like the Junker Queen and try and stick to your guns. But for these teams and what they've been playing, remember they played a match before this, so that kind of plays into their psyche as well and what they think works today. There is entirely the chance that Drainers come back out on the Doomfist, right? That they try to mirror that map composition again. There's entirely a chance that we get the Sigma composition coming out again. It's all kind of up in the air at this point, and it's not just the technicalities of what's good on this map, what's good in this matchup. It's also, what are these teams feeling comfortable on right now? Where do they feel that they're struggling the most, and what can they do to kind of supplement that as much as possible?
I mean, the Junker Queen composition that we saw at the very end of King's Row, where we saw the Junker Queen come out with Lucio Kiriko, I think that was kind of a good shout to force that pacing forward that they needed. They needed that kind of tempo, but because Michael Wave had already built up so much momentum, especially Zoe already having the Dragon Blade and already in the back line, just in the faces of the Kiriko, the Lucio, and there was no way for them to sustain through because they didn't have the ultimates up. It was a really tough one for Drainers to try and pull back at the end. Now headed on to this next one, it's a Symmetra to get them out, and instead Tracer.
Mirror. And it's a Tracer from Drainers. Drainers relied pretty heavily on that Nanoblade to get them fight wins. I would understand it if it was Michael Wave and Zoe swapping, right? Because Zoe didn't really get many nanos on the Genji. You're not really playing towards it, but they were playing towards Par's Genji. Now, where's this nano going? On to Senna now? Senna wasn't getting them before, so now it's a new test that they kind of have to pass to prove that they can use that ultimate effectively. For now, it's just a head-to-head fight, a little poke fight, see if one of these teams can get a pick. Par on the back foot, getting forced away on the Tracer, but it's Zeptrin who goes down first.
And now, once again, a Michael Wave are able to get value onto the backline and the tank. Senna finding a way to stay alive. Zoe getting so much healing from the backline, and they have to find a way to make sure Santix doesn't get isolated by this Genji. Oh, the deflection on the sleep! That was so good from Zoe. I mean, this Genji has been shaping up to look so good for Michael Wave.
And I like it. I love a Genji that can play without nano. I always talk about Sparkle's Genji being kind of the originator of when he was playing on the Dallas Fuel of like throwing in naked blades and instead just nanoing somebody else on your team and like hope it. Yeah, if your Genji gets one with the naked blade, great. If he just doesn't die and make space, great. Like This is what Zoe's doing a lot of the time and doing it really effectively, being a great supportive Genji player and setting up plays for the rest of the team.
I mean, that's a bit of what we saw from Par on Busan, but ever since the attacking first point of King's Row, we haven't seen Par have that same kind of brilliance. And now we have the nano boost already coming through from Keith. It's on to Mari, and it's just to make sure that they hold on to this point as Drainers funnel in through the choke, trying to get rid of Zepturn, but they're going to stay alive. Mari needs some sustain, needs some way to get back into the LOS of the support, and it's going to be the Meteor Strike from Kindred to take down Keith. Keith goes down, but it's not in time for the flash point. They have to rotate to the next one instead, and they've already invested the rally into a point that they lost.
I'm gonna like hesitantly throw out a C9 question mark, but I'm not 100% sure it was. I think it was just a bit of a messy fight. Microwave though, get first dibs at that next point. Are we typing? Are we typing? Can we unhide chat? Did they type? I always want to know. I want the juice. I'm such a drama farmer. I love seeing the smack talk, but nevertheless,
he's a reality television host.
Look, man, you see these players, you know them for so long. You just want to know what they're saying sometimes, you know. Microwave though, got that double DPS ult loaded up. On the other hand though, Drainers have the nano boost, so you can use it more effectively. Or if the Brig can disengage these ultimates effectively with that rally.
Yeah, I mean, it was just unfortunate in the rally fight as well, losing it in the last one. Now Zepturn are going to go ahead and pop that rally, force them through. Both support ultimates now coming as Kindred is the nano boost target. Senna's able to take down Keith, and now Death as well. Mari going off the edge, and now Microwave, they are falling over themselves like dominoes. Par looking to clean up the last pick.
Yeah, really nicely planned by Drainers. They knew they were playing into a team that wanted to dive them. They knew they had the rally advantage. Microwave, pressing all their jump buttons. The response, rally from Zepturn. Piece of cake. They respond with a couple more ultimates to make sure the health bars go down, and everything goes to plan. Now it's about holding, though, and into that Zoe blade. It's not so easily done.
Par fishing for some kind of damage here. Already sticking Mari, however, with the power block is going to save off a bit of that damage from the stick, and Par unfortunately doesn't get a pick off of that. The Drainers still in good position. They're already on 50% on the point, but Kindred getting very low. Okay, yep, just isolated. There's nowhere to go.
And there should be a pretty quick cleanup here for Microwave. The nice part being that they managed to hold that blade, so they have the opportunity to nano blade, but again, it seems like their prerogative is to just not, right? Throw it on Mari, throw it on Death. They prove equally as effective, and just let Zoe try and play for the one.
4 ultimates for Microwave, now both up into the next fight. 50% on the point. The progress is looking good. And they are trying to extend forward and cut them off at a bit higher point. The blade is here. It seems like Keith has an agreement with Zoe. We're going to go ahead and go for that nano blade once that next fight starts. And Mari looking to isolate out Kindred already, getting very low. There's the power block, and the Dragon Blade comes through. Immediately Zepturn goes down. What a sleep from Keith. Such an effective duo here. And that's going to be a cleanup for a second point.
it wasn't even the sleep from Keith. It was Santix's deflected.
Oh my god,
that went
not
into,
again!
into
Not again!
Yeah, it's another one. I think we just unbind our shift button if we're with the Drainers on it right about now. Unlucky stuff, but nevertheless, you know Zoe's feeling good about that first nano blade of the day. Finally getting such an important resource and being able to do so much with it. Imbues you with a confidence unlike any other. Microwave now, with 2 points to their name, are 1 away from flipping this series after a disappointing first map. They will have brought it all the way back for a reverse sweep, and a first pick on the Par bodes well for that narrative.
Yeah, Par going down early. Now Senna has to be relied on to put out the deep, but Keith going down to Kindred. That is a good shout from Drainers. Now the Meteor Strike going down. Mari finding so much value. Santix and Zepturn both going down. What can Drainers do against this? Par is the only one left alive, and they're actually almost flipping that point over, but Mari is able to chase him off.
What an obscene combo from Mari. Gets the entire punch, gets the power up on the block. The reset with Meteor Strike finishes everybody off. Credit to Zoe for timing the dash through as well to lap on even more damage on top of that, but some really, really impressive Doomfist playing. Again, night and day from map number 1 for Mari. What an incredible turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, Mari, it feels like it's like kind of a warm-up, you know, and they've just been ramping up, getting better and better every single map, and she's doing well, but now the anti, she's in a little bit of trouble. She needs to try and get out, get the support, but Kindred is able to finish off Mari, a good stick from Par, and now Keith goes down. Drainers, they should be able to clean up this point and flip this point over.
Yep. Nice little fight for Drainers. They're a little bit more efficient with their ultimates. Now coming in the next one, though, it is back to dead even. Rally up against the Nano Boost. And again, that Nano Boost, we saw it last time go on to Kindred, was a target for it, but in a very, very different position. They were the ones with Rally. Now that Microwave have Rally, throwing the Nano Boost onto Kindred likely isn't going to kill anything because of that extra armor coming from the Brig. So they have to be very careful with their application of this ultimate if you're Drainers, if you want to find effectiveness with it. Or not, or you just get a pick. That works
Okay,
too.
yeah, sure. I was going to say maybe a good anti could get them to pick here, but they're just going to start things off. Mari, however, taking down Par is not too much value, especially when you kind of have basically your entire support line missing. Wild Drainers, they do have both of these support ultimates.
That double support ultimate. Now they're feeling pretty comfortable. They can throw that Nano Boost in without feeling bad about leaving their backline alone. The anti-nade is huge. The rally response from Drainers is absolutely there, though. And now Zephyr's getting in on the action.
Oh, that was such an all-in from Microwave, immediately staved off by the support line. Nicely done. Now they finally secure their point, and they can breathe a little bit more now, but it is not over yet. Still match point for this next flash point for Microwave. Drainers, they need to hold on to this momentum.
I like this for Microwave, though. In trading their Rally in that fight, they got Rally and Nano Boost. Now a significant ultimate advantage for Microwave, and they only need 1 point. It's not like they need their ultimate advantage to extend beyond that. They have Nano Blade to take this, and first tick on Flashpoint is so important. So if they win that, if Zoe pulls off another 3K, it is a desperate situation for Drainers.
Oh, Zoe's close to getting Senna and goes down. Mari now finding so much value. Kindred is the only one to take down Death, and they have no support here. Kindred going to be taken down immediately. First capture.
Three-piece chicken dinner there for Zoe. And now Microwave are in a beautiful position. Yes, Drainers can come in with ultimates, but by the time Microwave come to retake, it will be last fight. If Microwave find a pick, God forbid, in any of these situations, Drainers, well, their hopes of winning this one might just go down the drain. Kindred pops up, looks for an engage.
Oh, now the anti is so good. The Meteor Strike comes down.
Oh, no.
Santix falls. Zephyrn has to find some way to sustain this squad. Kindred falling as well. No tank. And Drainers, this is looking like last fight territory for them. Microwave, such good picks. Good use of the ultimates. But this is kind of a neutral for the next one. Death might be having an overclock coming up. But otherwise, they don't have anything. Senna has an overclock of their own. And it's really going to be the battle of that Sojourns.
Senna's got to get it done, but Death starts up with the opener. Senna now needs to pull off a miracle in this fight. Tries to respond, and anti-nade gives them an opening. Now it's Microwave slowly extending forward. They have to be careful not to go too far, or else they enter the realm of Drainers. But now we enter solely the realm of death and destruction. Overclock means even more so is Senna picked out of the sky. A win for Microwave and a reverse sweep on the series.
Microwave, what a win, and Death, what a play, living up to their name. They are indeed Death, Angel of Death, you might say. If you see their name up in that kill feed, you know they're coming for you next. This was an excellent combo by Mari. You can see why they were called the Doomfist team as we were heading into this one, why Mari is the Doomfist tank of this tournament. Calling all heroes, be sure to see more of Microwave. You heard them say that they might have been the villains of this tournament. They're evil, as they said, playing the Doomfist, as Fable said, and you can see exactly why. They're evil masterminds.
I'm not sure I've ever seen such an anime arc over the course of only 3 maps. Like, what a return to form for Microwave. They played 3 different compositions. They showed tons of different stuff. They played it all fairly well. And on top of trying all of those things over the course of only 3 maps, which again, that's like crazy these days to have swapped comps that many times in just 3 maps like that. To have started off, let's be real, floundering. It was like they got rolled in map number 1. To then turn around and have this degree of form by map number 3, to have the ability to pull your team back, to mentally stay in it that long, over having tried that many things and bashed your head into the brick wall that many times only to finally see it crumble at the end of Surabasa. My God, the sheer constitution this team must have mentally in order to stay in it that long.
Yeah, I honestly feel like I just saw this team power crawl back into the light, you know, because they were like coming into it. They were we knew that they were going to play the Doomfist. We weren't really sure which one of them was going to come out on top. This is very close after all. Overall standings 3rd and 4th. This might even be considered a little bit of an upset from Microwave, considering they are 4th in the standings, while Drainers is 3rd. It's a very small marginal difference, but the difference is still there, and now Microwave, they're going to pull ahead.
I don't think anybody's upset about that match and having gotten to see at least all 3 maps. Maybe one of the teams is. But you know what? We only get to talk to the victors right now. When we get back, it's your Chipotle match MVP in your Chipotle Real Talk interview.
After such a banger series, we know you can't wait to find out who the Chipotle match MVP is for this one. And I am really excited to announce it is Zoe. We saw Zoe play a lot of that Genji, and it was so good and so solid, especially in that last match with some really exciting plays to come through.
I feel like this is the kind of Genji as well that can go so hidden under the radar. I love talking about supportive DPS players. They've throughout history, I think, gone underappreciated, but being able to play Genji without having nano for your blades, being able to find those right dive timings with your tank and back up your Sojourn at the right time, Zoe was there constantly. She was a real issue for the opposing side to deal with, even if she wasn't necessarily always in the kill feed, which absolutely she was in that final map. What a performance from the Genji to close things out. Deflects left, right, and center as well. 2 deflected sleeps for a couple of style points as well. I think there may be a boat in here somewhere in this little replay package for that be quiet silent play of the day.
I mean, Zoe just did so well on these maps. The deflected sleeps were just the cherry on top of the cake that allowed them to reverse sweep this. And we also have a few head-to-heads for you. We cannot understate the value that the entirety of Michael Wave was having, especially their DPS line. You saw their name in the kill feed quite a bit. And I mean, if you look at the head-to-head between Death and Senna, Death getting a lot of those overclocks, a lot of value from the nano boost as well.
You know, I want to cast our minds back to after the first map. We pulled up this exact same graphic and it was flipped around the entire different way, right? It was Senna getting the brunt of it. And it was largely because, again, the space that their team was making for them. A lot of credit to the team, but of course the Sojourn backing up did well. Death, on the other hand, felt more like the tip of the spear for their team. And that's what I feel like was so impressive about putting up numbers like this, was that Death was the one engaging. Death was the one getting the nano boost. There was a lot of pressure on Death's shoulders to hit those shots because they 100% would not have had the same position to follow up on had Death not put in the performance that they did in those aggressive situations and having to make the first move.
Now, we are going to have time for the interview as well. We get to speak to one of these lovely players that we see on screen right now, and it's going to be Death on the line with us to see what they were thinking, what the thought process was going into that last match. So, hey there, Death. How are you feeling?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? How are you all doing?
We're doing great. It's
well,
Wicca Water Day. You know?
Yeah.
It's always a good day to cast some Calling All Heroes. Death, I imagine that was either fun or really strenuous for you, to be completely honest. I think I want to start this interview off and take kind of chronologically because it was a ride for us, but I imagine it was even more so for you guys. So let's start off with map number 1 because I think we can agree it was a bit of a rough one to start things off on Busan. Start me off with the first submap because you guys go Doomfist into Doomfist. You guys are known for bringing that Doomfist composition out, and to get beat out with it pretty readily, not once, but after swapping over to the Sigma composition as well, getting beat on that. How is that for you guys mentally, and where were you at following map number 1? Were you floundering looking for a solution, or did you still have some confidence that you could pull it back despite getting beat on what it's to be perceived as your signature composition?
So first map, we kind of like just went into it thinking we're gonna play like default, we're gonna keep our tempo the same, blah 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 blah, just like kind of play our game. And then we realized Drainers was playing a lot faster than us, taking a lot more angles, and we decided that if we want to beat Drainers, because Drainers is a really good team, if we want to beat Drainers, we're gonna have to play better and we're gonna have to play faster and be proactive. So in first map, we kind of were lazy, lax, didn't really know what to expect, and we kind of like almost beat ourselves in a way. And then for the second and third map, of course, we started playing faster. We started being more proactive, taking angles, calming a lot more. I think the environment of the team was like really kind of like almost like, wow, that just happened for the first map. Like we just got beat. And how do we come back from that? We saw Molly's dad typing in the chat and we all kind of giggled about it. And that was kind of like our spark almost.
Oh my God.
And so he was like, go Molly, with a whole bunch of hearts, and we all kind of giggled about it and laughed and said, like, you know what, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna hunker down and we're gonna beat this adversity and we're gonna win this game. So
I mean, that's the kind of thing you only get in Calling All Heroes, I swear. I mean, following that, you guys did pull off the turnaround, and by map number 3, you guys were in control of the series. Did you know it at map number 3, or were you not taking anything for granted?
I mean, when we got to map 3, we tied it up, and we knew that it's either go like do or die here. And we just put our foot on the pedal and didn't let go. We tried to run drainers for everything that we could, and we got away with a lot of it. And so, just pedal to the floor. So.
That is really impressive. I mean, we were saying we were watching an anime arc, from that team that was basically got beaten right at the beginning. And then all of a sudden you have the power crawl in map 2, slowly gaining more ground. And then in map 3, you are just a fully powered team. And that was really amazing to watch. So thank you for such a good series on stream. And headed forward, going into this tournament a little bit further, we know that on our last interview with a member of Fable, Aria, she was saying that you guys are evil. You have any response to that?
I want to say that while we may be evil in the eyes of some people, in the eyes of other people, we might be, like the protagonists and like the good guys or the good girls or good theys and thems. But in general, I don't think we're evil. I think we got there's some internet opposition on the other side of Fable, but I think all in all, I think it's good fun. So
yeah. So is there anyone that you are really excited to play against in this tournament? Anyone you want to potentially think that you want to beat or think you can beat?
I'm excited to play against Wisp. The Wisp Embers team. I know a lot of those people. I was on the team with them during Rift or Bumblebees the prior, and just excited to play them and see how it turns out. I think Mollyfish 7 is going to beat Moving Fish 7, but that's just my prediction. So
okay.
Well, I mean, it's big predictions for the future of the tournament, but you guys got more games to go, so go ahead and get on to them. Congratulations on the win. It was a hard-fought one, but unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, there's more Overwatch ahead of you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You as well. You as well. All right, Tala, that leaves us with a very long series having been played, but the good news for that is because it was such a long series, that means that all the other games have kind of been played out by now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the standings and see how the Swiss stage is starting to shake out for most of these teams. Unsurprisingly to literally everybody, Timeless Ethereal is sitting at 2-0 alongside 4 other teams at Vancouver Titans Blue, Kunoichi, CGL, NYXL Embers, also known as Wisp. You heard them talking about it right now with Death, Michael Wave as well at 2-0, but those 1-on-1 teams, do not take them for granted.
These 1-to-1 teams, I mean, every single squad in this tournament is such a force to be reckoned with. But coming out on top, Vancouver Titans Blue, we were talking about it a little bit earlier with those circuit point standings. They're kind of right on the edge of qualification. So definitely a very good start for them here in the Swiss stage.
Yeah, for the name of any team wanting to get in over top of Fable, over top of NYXL Embers, you're looking at their head-to-head. So VT Blue versus NYXL Embers versus Fable, there's 2 very important matches that can go on in the Swiss stage, and we'll keep our eyes peeled for them. You guys should as well, though, because like I said, round 3 of Swiss is coming up in just a bit. If you enjoy sitting down and being comfy while you watch your Calling All Heroes, boy, do I have a deal for you. Noble Chairs, use code Radiant for 10% off. Help support the broadcast as well as get yourself a comfy place to sit while you watch it.
Yeah, and we are getting nice and comfortable, maybe even pull out some popcorn for the last Swiss stage matchup for day 1 of Radiant Heroes Major 3. I am incredibly excited for this one. We saw a great best of 3 series, and now we're going to see another one, Timeless Ethereal versus Vancouver Titans Blue. And I swear this is the exact same picture that they use for Michael Wave.
It's a great cat. No, it's a great cat. Are you kidding me? Regardless of the seriousness or lack thereof of the team pictures, Timeless Ethereal, don't let them fool you. This is the most dangerous team in Calling All Heroes.
They don't mess around.
They have won the past 3 Calling All Heroes events back to back to back. That is 2 minors and a major, and the gap between them and everybody else has only widened. And you bear up against this team that seems like a wall, that seems like a mountain, and you look at them like they're monsters, and then they pick all Lucio for their hero portraits, and you're wondering, dear God, what is going on in their minds?
All they do is mess around, but when it comes down to the game, they are not messing around at all. They are so serious about winning this one out. And Vancouver Titans Blue, we talked about it a little bit before the break. They are right on the cusp of being in that qualification cutoff. They're currently 7th in the standings, and the top 6 qualify. So this is an incredibly important matchup for them. While Timeless Ethereal, it's almost as if they basically have their spot secured. The last 3 Calling All Heroes events, Timeless Ethereal won every single one.
I mean, it's really tough for any team to even touch them, even the team in second place points-wise. It's kind of calculated, not necessarily out of it, but for the most part, nobody can touch this team. Not to mention, you've got to beat them if you want to touch them, and nobody can beat this team either. The last time this team showed up in bracket, they went undefeated. Not a single map dropped through the entirety of the bracket stage. So, you got to be very, very careful with how you take them on. But I think there's no greater test for Vancouver Titans Blue, who need a massive victory. They are sitting outside of that top 6 right now, the top 6 that qualify to go on to the championship. If they want to do so, it will take placing somewhere along the lines of 2nd or 3rd and beating both Wisp and at least one of these other top teams while they're at it. And this is absolutely a start to proving that they can do that they can hang with the best of the best, that they deserve to go to that championship.
And Vancouver Titans Blue, with what they're teasing right now, it seems like they're leaning into that Sigma meta. We literally just can't make predictions with the hero tease that we got from Timeless Ethereal, because they were like, yeah, we're all Lucio. But we know from this that Vancouver Titans, they can lean into this very pokey meta or kind of play that Sigma brawl.
Yeah, I think both these teams are at the point where they have the flexibility to kind of lean into whatever it is that they want to do. I think most of that change comes in the DPS line, but I'm scared if anything of that Timeless DPS line. Bun and Wisps, oh goodness gracious, you have your hands full if you're Vancouver Titans Blue. I think trying to play a pokey style is asking for a death sentence. You need to take this team head on, and you need to fight them as a team, because mechanically, I think they can outclass virtually everybody here.
Yeah, Timeless Ethereal also just so much tournament experience between the roster that they have. It feels like it's so impossible to touch them, but we're going to see what comes up on this very first map. And I'm curious what compositions we're going to see come out of Timeless Ethereal. We saw a little bit of that Doomfist, maybe a little bit unique in the meta. Control on Samoa is that first map.
Yeah, Samoa, I think, again, doesn't change too much. Control's going to play out pretty well for Sigma compositions and the Brawl. Kind of no matter how you want to shake things down. But it comes down to the teams and how they want to play it. The big things that we want to point out, we'll kind of do it on a map-by-map basis. Again, Samoa is relatively new, and each of the points does play pretty differently, but each of them also has an analog over on another map somewhere, the one that we're looking at right now, that high ground over on the far side, kind of what we're looking at. And then there's, of course, the kind of city center-esque circular point that is also available to these teams, both of which the Sigma composition has the opportunity to play at range, play a little pokier on. I think what we're looking at, though, is the tanks on this particular map to be able to shift their game plan depending on the architecture of the map, and also depending on what the team wants to do, whether they want to get in aggressively or play further back with poke. Starting off, Here we get to go to that circular point I was talking about earlier. We're playing more towards the coastal side of this map if they want to play the poke game, and more towards that interior far side if they want to get things a little bit more down and dirty, if they want to brawl things out.
Okay, well, everyone on Timeless Ethereal has a cat named Bun, except for Vun. Just the fun fact of the day as we get things started over here. Timeless Ethereal, from what they're teasing us at the beginning, it seems like it's going to be the Sigma versus Sigma composition, but it's going to be more brawly with the Mei as a secondary, and what I can only assume is going to switch over to the Sojourn after they get the initial Symmetra TP.
And so it's exactly what I was talking about. I like this from Vancouver Titans Blue. I was talking, look, trying to duel Bun and Wisps on DPS. Yeah, send for virtually anybody. Look, Vaughn and what, you're great. You probably can hold your own, but there's no need to risk it. They can fight as a team, and they will. Both teams move towards that brawlier side of the map that I was talking about, though Timeless Ethereal get a bit of a better position as they can play off the Mega Pack that's in the Polynesian League building.
Yeah, Cat already falling very low early into this first brawl and having to kind of disengage around the point, just weaving in and out of this shield while the Disruptor shot comes out from Timeless Ethereal. And you can see from the health bars that they're basically almost all full health. Sniper getting isolated a bit. They're going to need some help. Wisp is able to take down Phone, and all of a sudden, all that damage that was coming through is just shredded. Now Bun zoning out that Sigma, able to force out the Immortality field, and that cooldown goes through. Claire goes down. Clean first fight from Timeless Ethereal.
I think you can actually attribute a lot of this to the rollout of the teams. Timeless Ethereal got to that Polynesian League building like 5-10 seconds before VT Blue. Both of them sim TP'd too, which I'm not sure what VT Blue did that made them that much slower getting there, but Timeless Ethereal were very quick at it, and they got a much better position for it. Now they get to hold this spawn. This is something that is becoming fairly common on this map. It's a good spawn hold opportunity, forces the team to take 2 fights if they want to take that point, and Timeless Ethereal has plenty of room to disengage things like this amplification matrix should they want.
Yeah, they force the positioning, force them a little bit far back, and they gain a bit of ground. Oh, the Gravitic Flux, this hits so many of them. That is so good. They have to force out the Immortality field here, but they also get to take the space so far back, and they have nowhere to run. This wall is so good. It's the Sigma 1v1, but Sniper just had more health to begin with, and Sniper once again. Oh, Sproda almost back into the spawn.
Oh, don't emote. Don't emote. No!
Oh, no, stop!
Halo, chill out, please. Oh no, she's and they're making a snowman in their spawn. Yeah,
stop!
Knock it over, Vancouver Titans Blue. It's your Canadian right to not have a snowman built on you. If they turn out though, and oh god, it is a nightmare now for Cat, who backs away. A sound barrier set by VT Blue, just trying to keep themselves alive in their own spawn. But it is a nightmare of a fight.
Yeah, the Immortality field does come through. Wispus has to pick out the overclock, and Sniper actually finally does get shredded. A lot of damage being done here, but Sabrona is able to get over the top of that Maywall and try and chase down Wisp. Not going to have to get it done here, but still going to go back, and Bun still trying to harass them back into their spawn. Not going to work. Now the overtime activated on the point at 99%, waiting for the regroup from Sniper. It's actually a hamster ball that comes through, trying to see what the Hammond can get done. The disruption onto the back line, but Halo going down.
They need to not get distracted too much, otherwise you might get shot in the side of the head by a Sojourn, but instead, they do deal with it dutifully. Vancouver Titans Blue, they smack back. No, you may not build a snowman in our spawn, they say. We draw the line there. Halo,
how
though,
dare you
doesn't
emote.
dare take down Flare. And now it's just about getting a clean engagement off for Timeless Ethereal, which they do with the help of Blizzard.
Oh, Bun, that was really nice for the takedown, Sabrona, and now where is the back line for VT Blue? They are nowhere to be found. Chase down the Mei, yep, and Wisp takes that one down. They should be able to clear this first point.
Overtime down, and okay, Timeless Ethereal are making some work of this map so far. But I will say the spawn advantage, or the spawn camp thing that they were doing, less effective on some of the other maps here on Samoa. Though it's definitely a tough watch for the first one. Vancouver Titans Blue, I hope they've got more in store here on this map. This one, a little less Symmetra focused on the first rollouts. This high ground that we're staring at on the backside of the point is vitally important. Whichever team can gain control of that and get their DPS or support set up there is going to feel pretty good about their odds of winning that first fight. VT Blue, though, may try and circumvent that with the Doomfist pick and cause some havoc in the backline.
Yeah, Wisps already getting a lot of damage down very early, and this is just so nicely done thus far. But I mean, Bun has already gotten a lot of damage as well. For anyone who's curious, 3,600, which is quite a bit. Now rolling out onto this map, they're already on that high ground over on the right side of the map, getting into that little room, but Bun being taken down early by Bone, and now Sniper isolated from the rest of the squad. Not sure if Sniper can get out. Nice start for Vancouver Titans Blue.
Okay, Vancouver Titans Blue, yes, they win the fight. I want to say great job because it's important for them. How did Timeless get to the rollout point so much quicker again? Somebody just go check the map before, because it's really important how quick you make that rollout happen. And they're so significantly quicker every single time. I don't know. It's a point cap for VT Blue, though, and we can talk about the rollouts later. But this is a little bit iffy for Timeless now as the percentage begins to tick up.
No, they were practicing their rollouts for sure.
It's important that you do. You should.
Yeah.
VT Blue now have a choke point to hold. They get walled off, but Cat gets pick on Bun. And this is the advantage of getting this high ground early. If you get to hold the opposing team to these choke points, Thomas Ethereal is going to have their work cut out for them trying to push up.
This is really good from VT Blue thus far. Sniper does get a little bit low, and they're trying to isolate out Sniper once again, able to get a little bit of that health back as they regroup with the support line, and now we're going to have Cat back off a bit more. Still not quite the ultimate, but Claire has that amp matrix from Vancouver Titans Blue to potentially force a little bit of positioning, and there's the amp matrix come through. The gravitic flux from Cat to follow up on the rest of them, and now we know exactly where Bun is hiding in that little corner. Not really many places to go. Just, okay, pull themselves in a corner.
I think it's a little over. All right. That was signaled by VT Blue. What they actually called for there was back up from the choke point so that Timeless Ethereal had to walk into the choke point where they're more susceptible to the flux from Cat. And then that game plan just went basically perfectly for them. Now Timeless Ethereal on the back foot. VT Blue won that fight with only one ultimate, and now you have to play into Amplification Matrix on the high ground and a Blizzard as you walk through choke. What a nightmare for Timeless.
Yeah, I mean, the pacing of the ultimates is so good. The Grid Flux does come through from Sniper to try and force them through, but the Sound Barrier immediately just negates all that damage. The Blizzard, both of them coming out, and look at Sniper, or Cat, just being isolated by the Blizzard. Wisp with the Overclock is able to get so much value off the back of Bun's Blizzard, and the DPS line from Timeless Ethereal finally clean things up right as it hits 98%.
I mean, that's a play you only get to make if you're Timeless Ethereal. Only Timeless Ethereal get to make that play. Because they had nobody. They had a Blizzard and a Sojourn and a Prayer against like 5 people. But because you have Bun and Wisp on your team, it's just like, you can try that. You can do that. That's like not unreasonable. VT Blue had the upper hand the entire rest of the fight. But fortunately, they still do have 98% to work with in an overclock of their own if they can just get past this sound barrier.
Sound Barrier is out by Halo, and it's going to allow so much of them to survive. That was such a good save from Halo to keep Timeless Ethereal in the fight, and now the overclock from what finds no value. Immortality Field has been forced out. That cooldown is gone, and Safrona just overextends over the wall and gets shredded by Bun. Halo looking to try and push a few of them off further away from the map, and it seems like the point isn't going to be touched at all. Nicely done from Timeless Ethereal.
Nah, dude, Z-Man's my goat. Did you see that amplification matrix shoved in the inches between the May wall and the building's wall? That saved. That's what saves Sniper, not the sound. The sound barrier came after. Yes, it helped, but the ammo was put into the smallest of crevices to have LOS on that Sigma. That was insane. Now they've got more ultimates to actually take on VT Blue here, and now VT Blue. I mean, you can engage with the flux, you can engage with the amplification matrix, but both of those can be disengaged if Timeless play their cards right.
Flux from Cat to try and start things off. It forces them out of the choke point, but we still have ultimates coming through. Sniper now having the Grid of Flux. There's the Immortality Field as well, but the Blizzard is going to finish everything off. Where is Player going to go? It seems like they might be able to escape for a second, but Wisp comes through just in time with the overclock, and now it's the spawn hold time. They're at 92%. They want to fight this forward.
Operation Stop All Touches is a go. Cat looks like they may have skimpered past the majority of time. Oh my god, that was close. The large hitbox of Wrecking Ball does bode over time. Not sure it buys any more than that though. for a team that has been put down by Timeless Ethereal relatively unceremoniously, but you gotta give them credit where it's due here. There is a chance with that sound barrier and the Sombra coming back here for VC Blue. Timeless Ethereal have overextended, but I think they've recovered quite nicely by utilizing that high ground.
Yeah, Sabrona came in clutch with the sound barrier, but I don't think it's going to be enough. What gets taken down, and then Timeless Ethereal, they are going to finish off Samoa in a 2-0 fashion.
I'm just glad the second map didn't look like the first. Vancouver Titans Blue got a really solid hold in there, utilized the high ground, some awesome fight planning going down. The fact that this play here is what it took in order for Timeless to bring it back, like, that's good. That means you're pushing Timeless to the brink when you make them make plays like this in order to beat you.
Yeah, when they are forced to play to that level, I mean, Vancouver Titans, they definitely had Timeless Ethereal for a moment on the back foot on that second sub-map, and it looked for a while like they were going to be able to make it to the third sub-map, but unfortunately, or fortunately, that was quite a play from the DPS line, and we already talked about how they have such good raw mechanics and so much tournament experience. Bun and Wisp, it's so hard to get past the two of them.
Yeah, and you're going to have to try it for a second map. Remember, it's a 1st to 2. So there is very little time to figure out exactly what you want to do. Kings Row and Midtown are the picks of choice here for Vancouver Titans Blue. Look, I've been wrong every time I predicted this map. Granted, the differences between Kings and Midtown are, they play somewhat similar for the most part, but I do suspect it's probably Kings, just for comfortability's sake, and also I think the opportunity to go back to that Symmetra is not unwelcome for Vancouver Titans Blue. I think they can play it pretty well. It's just been a matter of rollouts, ironically, being the difference, and then on top of that, just not being in winning positions, always having to attack in on Timeless. But if they can play that Symmetra composition, come off on the front foot for a fight, come off ahead for a little bit, they're great at holding that position.
Yeah, I mean, that was just really, we had talked about the rollouts as well, when you're both kind of coming from the same place, and it's like there's the same amount of distance, but somehow they come out faster, even though you're playing the same composition. What's going on there? And that's not really going to be as much of a problem on a hybrid map, because you have so much time to get in position if you're on the defense. So at the very least, there is that.
Yeah, that issue's been solved. I don't know. I don't want to, like, dive too deep into it, because it is, like, it's a niche topic. It's not the most important thing ever, but, like, they were just weirdly, like, significantly faster. I have no clue what it was, but nevertheless, we take a look at the head-to-head here. Z versus Claire, and the damage done.
DPS Baptiste.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we say DPS, but did you see that immortality field? I need a replay on that at the end of the series or something. Just something in slow-mo. That was one of the best MOs I've seen in a tournament in a fat minute. Not to mention the DPS to back it up, but let's be real. When your team's holding that far forward, you expect a little bit of DPS to come out of your BAP.
Yeah, BAP, I mean, especially the Amp Matrix that were being charged up quite a bit, being able to just spam so much damage through that, and the amount of space that was given to that back line. Now, headed on to map 2, it is going to be Vancouver Titans Blue map pick. And were you saying Kings Row? Do I have a Kings Row prediction?
I'm thinking Kings. I don't think the difference matters all that much, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, the game doesn't change. I think we're saying Sigma v Sigma for this, and the adjustments that Vancouver Titans need to make are largely in just kind of patching a couple holes in the ship, but none of those holes were going to sink it on their own at the very least, right? It's mechanical differences, it's slight positioning alterations, but by and large, Timeless, I think, have ridden on top of a lot of their mechanical prowess, and then also the tank play has been so good from Sniper, who is, I think, positionally gotten some very, very good positions, especially playing into a Mei that was doing a great job of walling them off. Doing that is tough.
Yep, headed on to Kings Row. 3 Kings Rows in a row going into the next one. And seeing that Sigma, I'm not going to be surprised. Seeing a lot of that Sojourn as well. Mei as a secondary DPS, I'm thinking might be switched over to something more dive heavy. Maybe we're going to see a little bit of that Echo or the Genji, which we saw on the last map of Kings Row. But I am not entirely sure if these DPS players are going to want to switch more to something that seems like a dive rather than a brawl.
Yeah, I mean, for once, I have been known to be the proprietor of, like, pulling the red lever and going for the big swap sooner rather than later, especially in best of threes, right? But yeah. for once, I don't think it's time. Like, I don't know, Vancouver Titans Blue just showed me enough in that one map for me to think that, like, okay, this is probably the best comp for them to do this on. When they're playing well, when they're on the front foot, they know exactly what they need to do to win the fight. It's just come down to aim and space and the smaller bits of the ebb and flow of the fight for Sniper being able to make maybe a little bit more space for their team to get some action with. But by and large, I do think this is kind of the prime edition of Vancouver Titans Blue. They're just going up against an opponent that kind of has no equal at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, Timeless Ethereal, they have been so dominant in the Calling All Heroes circuit thus far. Like we said, winning the last 3 Calling All Heroes events. And it's not even just winning the events, it's winning them dominantly on a 26 map win streak, if you consider them a continuation of Washington Timeless. So if they win this, once again, 27 map win streak.
It only gets bigger. Yeah, imagine they make it through. Imagine they make it through this bracket clean. Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, as if they weren't a big enough problem already. I'm not sure who can actually put a dent in the armor. Again, like VT Blue, they made them make that overclock play, which I think is a good sign. But with a best of 3, there's only so much time to pull this thing back. They're gonna try it again, this time with the same composition. So again, like I said, they feel like it's working. I feel like the puzzle pieces are there for it to work. All they need is a little bit more of that je ne sais quoi. All they need is a little sprinkle of some magic from the DPS, from the tank line, finding those picks, finding those smaller advantages that kind of snowball over the course of the map if they want to get it done. Little opener shot though from Wisp will be the start. It's not somebody you want to peek.
Just ignoring the Sigma at the very first moment. Actually sticking for the Widow a little bit longer. Why not? Let's force it forward. But Sniper is actually going to be the one to get that first pick. Honestly, Sniper switching over to that DPS and Bun now on the tank as well. So we're seeing some melee out of Sniper. And now they've already forced them off the point. Okay, Vancouver Titans Blue, they had good defensive positioning. They had everything they needed, but they are just falling apart.
I think the fact alone that Bun is on tank here is probably just stun locked VT Blue out of the A point. Like, you see that and you're just like, okay, you can have it. We gotta take some time to react to this one. Should be a point.
They're trying to recover from it. They're forcing them very far forward, and there's some overextensions from Timeless Ethereal for sure, but they should still be able to cap the point fully. That's the payload, and they should be on to the streets phase.
Now grapple up from Wisp, who's looking to create a quick little clip here. Put some people to sleep. Make a bid towards that be quiet, silent play of the day. But alas, VT Blue back up to the choke. The nice part here for Timeless is that, well, I was gonna say they have to break choke, but if this Sigma gets walled off like that, I don't think they're gonna have nearly as hard a time of doing so, especially with Wisps in on the flank. Wait, is that that's the craziest ant matrix I've ever seen. Z-Man amplification matrix past the enemy team so that the flank Widow could use it.
Yeah, that was, I mean, there is some crazy coordination happening on Timeless Ethereal side. Wisp, unfortunately, doesn't get that pick off the flank. Going for a really sneaky play, you know, trying to snatch away that silent play of the day. But they do see that Baptiste and aren't able to get the pick here. Now with Safrona putting down the sound barrier as this Blizzard comes through, and the Gravitic Flux right as the sound barrier runs out. Bun is actually getting very low and now walled off. There is nowhere for Bun to go.
Did the grapple go off and they got rocked? But at the bottom? I don't know. That was awkward. Weird for Wisp, but nevertheless, Vancouver Titans Blue. I only offer up one word of warning, and that is don't overextend into Timeless. They will punish you. But for now, they've got a choke point to hold, which is fantastic for them into the Widowmaker. The Widowmaker has a way harder time breaking this than something like the Sojourn that can kind of overclock and slide through.
No. Well, I don't have a cat named Bun, but my cat is currently greeting me, and I do not know what is going on. But now back into the game, we're looking at Vancouver Titans Blue still holding this point. Timeless Ethereal trying to force their way through. Bun on the other side of the choke, but Wisp is unable to find the finishers right now. Can't really find the picks. However, Cat getting very low. Safrona has to go ahead and get the amp it up from Lucio to try and keep the tank alive, while Phone is locked into this 2v1 with Sniper. Not a lot of places to go. Ice Block already used, but Sniper is able to find Safrona, and without the support, that Mei goes down.
Timeless Ethereal now finally breaks that choke point. Titans Blue took some decent time off the bank, but now things get a little easier for the Widowmaker as these sightlines are far more favorable for Wisps.
Streets phase finally locked out of that choke point, and they're able to get through, inching closer to the second point capture.
Sounder can't deal with both Flux and the Blizzard. It's a bit of a problem here for VT Blue, or rather Timeless Ethereal. So the Blizzard comes out, they try to disengage it, but the wall alongside it is fantastic. Another Blizzard though, it's a bit of a winter wonderland here on King's Row. Cat dropped low, but the Immortality Field keeps everyone up. It is the same game we started out on, except now Halo's down, Sans Sound Barrier. VT Blue pull the weapons in their holster, namely that Flux and the Overclock, but they don't want to overextend now. Having played their cards too close to their chest means that Phone goes down to a flanking Wisp, and it gets worse.
Sniper able to find Rona, but still can't build up to that sound barrier, and now you just have Wisp on the Widow flank, spamming down the shots from behind, and all of a sudden, VT Blue, they crumble. It seems like this should be a second point capture, but they should be able to re-engage at the last second. They're not going for it, though.
Halo's having a bit too much fun with the emotes this game.
Yeah, Halo is,
I love it. I love it. No, she's great.
Halo's payload princess.
She's been playing a good game on Lucia, though. Like, all jokes aside, good down berries, love play. Flux out, no response. Rock, and the most of the damage eaten by the kinetic grasp. Oh, not the drink! Oh, God, into the depths with Cat.
Creation right off the edge. Oh, Cat. Losing Cat early is so devastating for Vancouver Titans Blue, especially with the amount of momentum that Timeless Ethereal has already built up. What is trying to answer? The Overclock is already gone and not able to find a pick with it. Z-Man, however, the DPS Baptiste of the game, is able to find so much value and just spamming away at the shots. Amp Matrix still in the back pocket can force the positioning, force them inside of their spawn, and Wisp has such a good high position. Now with the Gravitic Flux, there is nowhere for VT Blue to go. Where are they supposed to go? And with the sound barrier now through, this is the only thing that can get them out of their spawn and force them past the choke point. But Wisp is just left unchecked above.
The jump in. Wisp wants a piece of what right now? Oh, we get the duel. We get the Widow duel. This is what really matters. I don't care about the map results. I don't care about the series results. Who wins the Widow duel? He get what? He get no! No duel. Instead, just a map finish for Timeless.
Score.
Yeah, I can't get to it in time. I mean, what was pretty scared as soon as they heard one of those shots from Wisp headed their way. Now, a full capture with 2 minutes left. That is so good for Timeless Ethereal. And it seemed like Vancouver Titans, they were having this moment of brilliance in the streets phase when they were able to keep them in their choke point for so long, despite the ultimates, despite the Amp Matrix for the flanking Widow. Timeless seemed to be stalled, but then all of a sudden the momentum goes and it goes and it goes, and it's a snowball rolling down the hill, and it's an avalanche, and VT Blue just get buried.
Now, good luck. You have to match that smile. A tall ask here for VT Blue, but again, there have been good fights, moments of brilliance for them. Timeless Ethereal stay on the Widowmaker, which I think is actually really good for VT Blue. It's one thing on the attacking side to say, hey, you know what, we can just like keep respawning and taking pot shots at you on the Widowmaker. But in defense, if the Widowmaker dies, like, she's not coming back for the next fight. You basically have one death. On attack, you can die and then, like, respawn and try again at the shots. But a little bit riskier here, so Wisps is going to have to be very on top of the staying alive game more so than the finding picks game. Though, with a May being the other DPS and there being a lack of general damage per second, I do think there is some pressure to also hit shots at the same exact time, so there's just a lot of weight put on this Widowmaker's shoulders, and a slightly unreasonable amount, especially considering that VT Blue, yes, you're pushing them over, but they are no pushovers.
Yeah, they're already through that first choke point. They're headed on. They do not care about the damage that they are taking and trying to get into the good position on the high ground. Wisp is just spamming down quite a few shots, and Venom Mine also doing a little bit of damage, letting them keep an eye on that Lucio. But now Wisp having to reposition. Already, there's that Immortality Field from Timeless Ethereal. That's been destroyed. They need to keep Bun up somehow, and they're just hiding, weaving in and out of the shield, making sure to continue contesting. Now walled off, pacifying away way through and sustain that tank. Still, Bun is staying alive. Wildcat, it's a different story. Z-Man eventually takes down that Sigma, and now they're going to clean up the rest of them.
Yeah, I mean, once the Baptiste went down, that was the real problem for them. I think a lot of the onus right now, though, is on Cat, What, and Phone. You need to be just utterly destroying Bun. Bun has no damage to throw back at Cat, What, and Phone. It's up to the Widowmaker to find picks, and you know what? Here's a little quiet play for the headshot. Gets the amplification matrix again. Whiffs on the first shot, though! And a great wall to deny the Widowmaker any space. Now this is the go button. They need to move forward in time as Ethereal, but they don't! Nobody gets forward enough. The wall cuts off half the team in a rotation, and Timeless Ethereal completely circumvent the plans that VT Blue had.
Yeah, this is just Widow 76 from Wisp as well. I mean, that was such a good amp matrix. Once again, trying to get the sneaky plays. Wisp does whiff a little bit at the very beginning, but they're still able to get the shot on the Baptiste. And then it's where you're supposed to go. Disruption shot is going to stop Wisp from being able to get a lot of value from that high ground, but it's still another sneaky flank play. Seeing if they read into this one, but it doesn't seem like they do, especially since Cat goes down. They don't want to force themselves out of spawn.
We should remind ourselves, Bun's on tank. Sniper's on May.
They're emoting!
What is, that's your spawn! You're not allowed to do that! Wisp finally down, but Cat falls for it! They don't have a tank! It's 45, it's still not a great fight here for VT Blue.
You have a Widowmaker emoting in your spawn, and you still don't win the fight. Still, they're able to take down Bun finally, and it seems like Timeless Ethereal are going to be punished for their troll actions. Unless,
I mean, there is a recontest here. Is it good? I'm not exactly sure about that
they
one.
could contest on third point.
No, they're
potentially
going for second. I mean, Halo's here to speed in Bun. It was really iffy. They didn't taxi Bun, which is why I was so confused. But nevertheless, Ethereal go in, and amplification matrix is available on the backside to kind of supplement this push. Losing too many players early, I don't think it's something they're going to go for.
Yeah, that fight was very messy for Timeless Ethereal, and it felt a little bit disjointed between the front and back line. Just a bit of miscommunication here. And Timeless Ethereal, they flew too close to the sun with the emoting and the spawn hold. It was a little messy.
Now 308 on the block for a second point hold. Ethereal still playing with fire, still running this Widowmaker. Not a massive DPS for them to hit. They rely on those picks coming out from Wisps if they want to get anything done. But it still seems to be working out pretty well for him. First corner fight steps up. Implication Matrix available for Claire, as well as a Flux following it if they want to go for it. And there won't be any sound barrier to counter when Cat presses that Q button.
Yeah, now there's that Blizzard from Sniper, and it's just going to allow Timeless Ethereal to go on a tear. There is nowhere for a Cat to go. Really well done from Timeless Ethereal to just completely stop VT Blue in their tracks. They were not expecting that play from Sniper.
Yeah, it was an instantaneous response to the implication matrix, right? There's not much you can do. VT Blue need to find an opportunity to be more proactive. Maybe you can't spend time hunting down this Widowmaker. You just have to avoid her sights, which they do beautifully. Taking that side lane. I love how Wisp has like a personal Lucio as well to help with rotation into further flank positions. This is insane. The Bastion out from VT Blue, though, now starts to move forward on the Timeless Ethereal, and they flip the map using the Flux to do so even more. The Rock connects, but a little bit too late.
Yeah, and now Halo taking down Soprona after that sound barrier has already been used. Wisp finding the headshot onto what? This should be the nail in the coffin. Cat is just getting shredded, and even though the Bastion is putting out damage, so much is being sucked in and giving Sigma those shields. And without the immortality field now for Claire, they are in danger. Claire falling without the Baptiste. Where's the sustain for the tank? It is nowhere to be found. Timeless Ethereal with another fight win, toppling VT Blue.
I feel like this is a horror game for VT Blue. Like, they move forward through these tiny dark hallways, getting poked at from side to side, and then eventually they just get, like, shout out Aspen Five Nights at Freddy's jump scared from, like, some angle that Wisps isn't supposed to be on by Wisps. Like, what do you do? Yeah, you just, like, peekaboo, and then you run away, and then now the horde is chasing you. This is a nightmare!
Like, Halo is really trying to go in for like the Goomba stomp on this entire team. Another map flip on this squad. Look at this. You just have Halo looking for a flank as a Lucio. And now Claire only has the amplification matrix. They do have that Bastion ulti, the artillery strike. And there's the artillery strike to come through. But Bun, so much value from the gravitic flux. What can VT Blue do at 30 seconds left on the clock and another team kill from Timeless Ethereal? I feel like we need a counter for them.
I mean, into Amp Matrix and Blizzard when you're just trying to, I'm just trying to make it out of spawn, man. And Timeless Ethereal say, nah. You pay the troll toll. You gotta walk through the Blizzard first. You gotta kill Wisp. You gotta find some way in. Not easy. Oh
okay.
God, that'll do it. At least there's revenge at the end of it all. Everyone's trying to touch point. Does anybody actually? 2, 1. Safrona, did they touch? They did. Overtime.
Safrona touches
out from Cat. Immortality Field forced on the Z-Man, but Timeless Ethereal are just too good. Nobody can match this team. Now 27-0 in the last 27 maps. They careen themselves towards the top of the Swiss stage.
This is insane. I mean, we were talking a little bit about how the Widow on the defense, if she died once, it's unlikely that we can take it out again, but Wisp doesn't care. Wisp knows their limits, and they are able to play to them beautifully, and especially on this defensive half, we saw a little bit of trolling. They did a little bit of that emoting right outside their spawn, and it cost them that first point, but they recovered it from it so well, and VT Blue, they were just getting knocked over like dominoes time and time and time again.
And I think we set the stage for this match, right? And we were talking about what it means for VT Blue and how important it is to try and put something up against Timeless, which for anybody is a monstrous task, right? But it's not necessarily like, yes, they take a hard loss, but this isn't the end for VT Blue. There are plenty of other teams that they can take on to try and get, again, to that like 5th, 6th position is I think where it's mostly contentious in order to try to qualify for championships. So it's certainly not out yet. They're 2-0 for a reason coming into this match. Unfortunate it went the way it did. I think Timeless had a fair bit of fun with it though. A roll swap for Bun and Sniper. Who was it? Bun building a snowman in their spawn. We got, I think, everything you could ask for in terms of at least showing off the fancy emotes you can get in the store.
Yeah, just go ahead, look in that Overwatch store if you want to be cool like Timeless Ethereal and emote in other people's spawns because you're just that good, then why not? Go for it. And I think that Wisp was really trying to go for the sneaky play of the day, the quiet play, but with the Amp Matrix as well, I think Z-Man did such an excellent job keeping this team alive and trying to set up plays for the rest of the squad as well.
Yeah, it was a solid series for Timeless. Again, just showing us how monstrous they can be. I feel like we have to remind ourselves at the start of every one of these broadcasts, and then we just end up checking back up in on them during finals after they've 3-0'd virtually everybody in their path. But we'll see if any of these teams have built themselves up to be good enough to properly take them on, or if it's going to take a whole tournament to knock this team down. We'll see you guys in a bit.
Timeless Ethereal proving to us time and time again how dominant they are in the Calling All Heroes circuit. And we are back to announce the Chipotle and the match MVP of that last best of 3. And, you know, I have to say, it was a tough one. Every single one of them were popping off, but gotta give it to Z-Man. Gotta give the support some appreciation. Can't be thankless here. Lots of healing done, and on top of that, lots of damage.
Yeah, I mean, some of the weirdest and coolest amplification matrix I've seen in a minute, and on top of that, hit like the most amazing immortality field. Normally, for an MVP thing, I wouldn't be talking about like an individual player, or individual plays rather, but in a match this short, you kind of have to, you know? So that immortality field for me, yeah, sick highlight, and then as well, every amplification matrix, they were enabling wisps, they were across the map, making sure that Fun was able to take all this pressure. Was actually pretty impressive, considering that they didn't have much damage to throw back. On top of that, while outputting damage of their own, it was a great performance all around from the map.
Yeah, just using the cooldowns really well in general, and I think Z-Man did an excellent job of enabling the squad. A solid support line, just the backbone of the squad so far. And Timeless Ethereal, they are just doing so good. And we have an interview ready for you guys coming right up. It is going to be Wisps. We saw a lot of really good DPS play. Oh my god, is that your cat named
Let's
Bun?
go!
Her name's Chevy. She was a stray kitten that I found inside like an old Corvette like bumper, and we like took her in. And she's actually our like logo for the call like for our team.
Oh, that
yes,
was the logo?
that is her. Yeah.
She's adorable. Is that what lets you? Is she like whispering in your ear, "Go on the flank"? Is that?
Yeah,
that the bad
definitely.
influence?
She's the voices. She's the voices.
So you actually have two cats on Timeless Ethereal. You have the cat named Bun, and you have the cat you have in your lab.
Exactly. Yep.
So
Yes.
run me through real quick. What's that series like for you? Because for us, it was. I mean, roller coaster is like a weird word to use for it. It wasn't so much up and down, but it was definitely a lot of one direction, and that was you guys running at their spawn. What are comms like in that? Like, what is this tournament to you guys, considering that you guys have a million qualification points? I know there's still, of course, a prize pool. There's still plenty of reason to play, but you guys seem to be having a lot of fun with it before championship.
Yeah, we definitely today were a lot more chill, like first day of Swiss. Honestly, comms today were kind of just fun. People are kind of just like messing around and like vibing with each other. This team's like, one thing I really love about this team is like everyone is like friends. Like we don't even use our team server to scrim half the time. Sometimes we're just like in our friend Discord that we were already in before. Everyone's like, we just have fun.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And I mean, you guys have won a lot of the Calling All Heroes events before. Is there a team that you think might stand up to you this time, give you that little bit of a challenge that you might not have seen in the previous events?
I'm definitely excited to go up against Wisp. That roster is like a lot of what my team was last call. And they have like a new roster with like Annie now. So it'll be really fun to go up against them. I think they're a really good team. I'm friends with a lot of people on that roster. It'll definitely be a fun match, and I definitely think a hard match too. But it should be pretty fun.
Yeah, I think a lot of people see him going pretty far. But for you guys, what do you consider success in this tournament for you? Are you just trying to have fun before the championship? Are you looking for a 4th win in a row in a Calling All Heroes tournament to give to the Timeless Empire? What is it for you? What is the goal here?
We're definitely going for the win, and I definitely think we can do it. I think everyone's been working pretty hard. I think we have a really good team. I think we all trust each other. I definitely think we can go for another crown, another victory royale for the OGs.
Yeah, and looking even a little bit further ahead, you guys are basically locked in to qualify for the championship. Do you think that that's going to be like typical of Calling All Heroes events that you've seen before, or do you think it's going to be a lot more challenging for you?
I'm not sure. I mean, it'll be like relatively the same teams. I think the only difference, it'll be like less of like the Swiss stage where you go against like a lot of teams, and more so you're just going against like a lot of like the better teams because they've like proven themselves and qualified. But I think it'll be pretty similar, maybe like higher stakes and whatnot, but that should be really fun.
Yeah, before we let you go, any notes that you want to give, any last messages before we send you on? And I mean, it seems like we're just likely to see you again in the finals, so I don't think it's necessarily goodbye forever so much as for now. But any notes you want to leave us on before then?
Not really. One thing I want to say is that the team we just played, we scrimmed them. We put Bun in on tank, which we did the last map, and they called the scrim and forfeited it because we were off rolling. So maybe they should have practiced against the Bun Sigma. You know, she's pretty good at it.
She was actually like under a lot of
she
pressure
actually-
too. Like when you're playing with the Widow instead of having like a major damage choice like a Sojourn, that's a tough Sigma matchup to play. So yeah, credit where it's due. Bun did do well, and maybe the scrim should have gone on. But nevertheless, congratulations, Wisp, on the win. We hope to see you in the future.
Thank you.
Well, we know what's cooking over there. They're just a bunch of lads having a good time. And they're just like a bunch of friends. And it's really nice to see that they are going for the win once again, building that timeless empire. And we are just going to look at the Swiss standings thus far. That was kind of a quick one, so not everything might be ready just yet. I think, yeah, Swiss has not finished. This was a really quick match. I think it was, how long was it?
It's
Do you
probably
have
probably
done-
the first one done if we're being honest with ourselves. We
Yeah.
bought some time there at the end, but nobody could catch up. That's all right though, because we've got more important things to do. We've been talking about MVPs. We've been talking about who's going to take it for the tournament, but more importantly, we've got the Be Quiet Silent Play of the day to give away. And this is what excites me. This is not just about the biggest play that happened in the day, but the play that said shh more than any other. And this one from Zoe, the deflected sleep into Zep turn. We can get it one more time. Oh my
Okay,
god.
Yep.
Nothing says be quiet. Take a little nap for me while I 3K the rest of your team, like Zoe does with this deflect.
Yeah, just keep that clip on replay. That is definitely one of the highlights that we saw today. And I mean, Timeless, they basically ran over Vancouver Titans Blue, but I definitely really love to see the Doomfist compositions come out. I would have loved to see a Reinhardt, and there was a little bit of Winston play, and it's nice to see that there's a variety here too as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just been a really fun tournament in terms of the meta. It's nice to get that variety. Sometimes in tournaments, we can stick to one thing. I was worried we might get a bit too much of the Sigma, but seeing things like Kindred come out and play a really good Doomfist to open series up made things super duper fun. Timeless getting wacky with things is always a good time. And I think in general, it's been a lot of fun. And honestly, it's always an honor to be here. It's my last day on broadcast. So thank you guys all for having me. It's always a blast to come back for some Calling on Heroes action. Tala, any last words before we send them off for tomorrow?
Well, thank you so much to our sponsors as well. Chipotle for our match MVPs, each of these series, as well as the Chipotle Let's Talk interviews, and Be Quiet for that elevated prize pool, and to Noble Chairs for that little bit of extra comfortability when you are watching these matches. It has been such a good day, and it was a really fun first day of Swiss Stages. Thank you to you, Dor, for casting with me, and we are going to be seeing you all very soon with some more Overwatch tomorrow. See you then.